And like that, we back. It is Unpack, back with another episode presented by the To Be Fair Show and
the G Shit Podcast.
I can't tell y'all how many weeks straight that we've been going, but we've been going for a minute. And this is going to kind of be our quote unquote season finale for this season. We have a panel full of fellas. Starting to my right, let's introduce ourselves and then we'll get into it.
What's good, everybody? It's G, host of the G Shit Podcast. Make sure y'all check that out wherever you get your podcasts, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and fuck everything else. Ha.
Beside him, talk to us, Charlotte legend himself.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Season recap. Let's get to it.
Below him, y'all see the name. Y'all know him. It is FBA Trey. Talk to him. We can't hear you, brother, man.
What's good, everyone? Trying to do my best to represent the Black American freedom movement. And I'm glad to be a guest here. Have a good, intelligent conversation.
All right, beside him. Talk to him, Johnny.
It's your boy, Johnny P., host of the To Be Fair Show. Every Sunday, 4 p.m. We here every Wednesday, 9:30. Yeah, looking forward to a great one. You know, this will be a good overall, recap, see how we feel.
Yeah. And last but not least, y'all see him. He be active in the chats. He's been on here 1 or 2 times. I can't remember exactly how many times he's been on here as a part of the panel. Kofi, talk to him.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Glad to be here. This is Kofi from Kofi the Black Critic. This is my channel. Looking forward to another great conversation with you brothers. Let's do it.
All right. And so, I know I like to kind of throw curveballs here and there on the first question. So one of our random episodes that we did have was it was a Kevin Samuels episode. And I guess before we get into that, so again, this is the season finale. A part of the season finale and why it is a season finale. On Monday, I will be getting married, and then I'll be, going off honeymoon. So it's gonna be like a little break of about a good 2 weeks, and we're gonna get right back to it. But with that, I feel like it is almost.
Congrats to you, man. Congrats.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we ain't just gonna breathe. We ain't gonna breathe past that. Yeah, that's black love right there.
No, appreciate it. Oh shit! I might be able to swing. Listen, if you know too many people to know that unless you got like money and that big catering bill, your head count be low, and with that head count, you be trying to squeeze in people. Like once you get and all my people have a lot of kids. Like they be like, we got Southern family. Like I'm from New Jersey, but they moved up to New Jersey. Like. All our roots is Southern. So like my mama come from a family of 5. My dad come from a family of 5. And all they kids got 5 and 6 kids. Like, yeah, it'd be a lot of them.
Dog. I'm coming for the girls, man. I know they be in the feelings around.
And listen, that you gotta watch what is it? The little toss, the bouquet toss?
Oh yeah. Be out there like Jordan.
So nonetheless, I think that this is a perfect time to see. Damn, my bad, y'all. Listen, shout out to StreamYard. But some words from Kevin Samuels. We did a Kevin Samuels episode. These are his thoughts on a man and if he's prepared or ready to be in a marriage. And we can take that and we can kind of branch that into a little bit of the Kevin Samuels conversation and recap that. But I'll let it get y'all reaction and what y'all think about this first.
The question is, how do you find a woman that aligns with your values? For what outcome?
Marriage, long term, like just somebody, because I'm trying to build myself up.
Hold on. I'm talking to the guys 18 to 29. You're in a different phase. So
oh, sorry.
But I'll answer the question. Are you in a position to have your wife quit?
What, quit her job?
Yes.
Take care of somebody? I think so. I mean, I'm not.
Do you make enough
I'm
money
on my way up.
do you make enough money to hire your woman?
I make about like 50,000 with bonuses or extra bonuses.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, that's just the reality. You don't make enough to hire your woman.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Well, no, not really. The question.
All right, so fellas, what is y'all thoughts?
Is he saying marriage is hiring a woman? Is that what he's saying?
Well, yeah, I guess in the sense of her needing to quit her job or have the ability to quit her job. Do y'all agree, disagree with that rubric for? It seems like he said younger, it's a little different, but 30 plus, you need to be able to hire your wife, make her quit her job.
In the sense of like fully take care of her. I know I hear a lot of women say once they have to get pregnant or they first have the baby, they don't want to work during pregnancy or the first 2 years. And so with marriage, I think it's that idea of like, if you had to be the sole provider, could you? And I guess from this rubric, you're not ready. You can't. I wouldn't say I totally agree. Everybody's situations are different. Everybody's spending habits are different. But I do think you need to be able to be the main provider in our society, in this Western society, to be married. Like I'm starting to feel like it's a rich man game, although it's not. There's always exceptions, but overall, it seems like you need to be able to take care of everything by yourself.
Gotcha. So, so you said, well, you kind of said that you didn't quite agree, right?
Yeah,
it's really each his own, but it would be nice if you did.
Yeah, there are some women that love their careers, are passionate about what they do, and it brings home income. And they don't want to stop, or they don't want to sit at home all day. But like I say, those are the exceptions. I think a lot of them are leaning towards finding a man that can pay the majority of the bills, and they can be like a housewife, and
So you think that most? So do you think that most men need to be able to quote unquote retire their wife, retire their woman, to get married?
I think if you're a man and you seek marriage, that's going to open up your options if you can offer that, like, I can fully take care of you. Like I say, it's always women that maybe not on that page, but I think the majority, here, other countries I've been, they want the man to be the full financial provider, and then provide other ways, whether it's emotional support or cooking, cleaning, nurturing, managing your business. But mostly, when most women's ideal man is the full-time provider, in my experience.
Okay. Trey.
First off, I like how you picked this clip because people always talk about him being overcritical of women, and then they forget that he did a lot of encouragement for men as well. And I think that's something good to aspire to. What he said there, but he didn't say retire his wife. He said hire her. So that means she'd still be doing something like productive and contributing, but she just wouldn't have to go to work and like listen to like let another man be her boss. You would be the one who, she's working for you. And ideally the same way that she would treat her boss, but she'll listen. That's the thing too. I think if you hired your wife, would she treat you the same way that she treated her boss? Or would she take advantage of that, And that's a very interesting thing because she'll take orders from her boss, but if it's her man, I don't know. I can't say for sure that she would just jump to it the way she would at work, especially in this day and age of feminism. So that's my thoughts.
So do you think that a man should be able to hire his wife? Is that a prerequisite for most men just to get married?
I mean,
should that be a prerequisite? Or is it a prerequisite? I guess maybe it should be yeah.
I wouldn't say a prerequisite because then really nobody would get married. And the people who could afford that might be able to afford to hire multiple wives. And I think we go back to the age where that was the norm, so I don't know if that would even be feasible.
Okay. So, Johnny.
I mean, I think if you're getting enough money, idealistically, you got the infrastructure set up to where you could do that. Like, who wouldn't want to do that? Like, who wouldn't want to work with the family? Realistically, nah, it can't be a prerequisite. You gotta like realistically, like a lot of women are making a lot of money, and it's like I think that only can be to the benefit if we work together. I think two incomes are better than one. Idealistically, I would love to have enough money to hire my wife and put her on the team and let's get it together. So I mean, but to get married, I don't think it has to. I think you can still get married and continue to work towards that goal.
Got you. All right, so now we get into the marriage side of the panel. G, kick us off. What is your thoughts? Was that a prerequisite when you first got married? Should it be a prerequisite today?
Nah, man, not at all. Like I view marriage as a business decision, and from a business standpoint, you want to run your business with somebody who you can trust, somebody who can take care of the business if something happens to you. You don't, if you're partnering up to operate a business, I don't necessarily think the best strategy is to be in this like asymmetry of like clear power where you're with this person because you can kind of control this person, in other words. And so I feel like the real prerequisite for a man pursuing marriage is being able to take care of yourself. One, like, have you established the ability to provide for your own self? And then two is like, do you have the ability to come up with a mutual contract with somebody that both parties respect, right? Like if you sign up to be married as a dude, but you don't want to honor what you feel like though that duty should be, like if you're not mature enough to handle those responsibilities, you shouldn't even act like you're ready for such a leap as a man. And if you can't take care of yourself as a man, if you need your wife to work to live as a man, you shouldn't get married. You got to be able to hold things down for the household. And ultimately, if you can take care of yourself, once you partner up with somebody, like that should become an easier feat than doing it by yourself. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like as long as you can hold things down on your own and you have the maturity to keep yourself disciplined and accountable to what your duties are as a husband, then you should take that next step. If you find a good partner, obviously.
Trey, I know you got something, but wait a quick second. Let me get to Kofi. Kofi, talk to us. I think you said what you married 20 years?
Yeah, like 20 plus. I'm pretty much agree with Johnny, what G says. It shouldn't be a prerequisite at all. I'm not sure the framing of how he put it, if you should hire your wife. I don't know what that means, but realistically in this day and age, from my situation, I come from a 2-parent household. My wife comes from a 2-parent household. We've seen both of our parents work, so to us that's just natural. Obviously, if we're in a position to, hey, look, you could stay home and everything will be paid. I hold everything down. That's fine. I mean, there are instances where I have 5 children, so and I have 2 sons. My wife was pregnant for like about 2 years, so she couldn't work for about 2 years. I was holding it down, but would it help if she was working? Yeah, but she wasn't able to. She enjoyed not working or whatever. He said, okay, but if I know I go back to work, our lifestyle would be much better. We'd be able to travel more, do things more than that. But to answer the question, should it be a prerequisite or a must? No, because that's not realistic. Even according, I used to listen to Kevin Samuels every now and again, even according to Kevin Samuels' statistics, he says the average man, or from particularly, I guess, a man doesn't really start making real money until he's like in his 40s, late 40s and 50s, where he's established himself. So I think that's probably what he was talking about. Like, well, of course not if you're 18 to 20, it doesn't apply to you. But again, in his stats is basically saying you're not going to make real money. That's if you're an average man. The average man, I think he said to make in the United States is $40,000 a year or whatever. So for a man to make enough money where his wife doesn't have to work, we're talking about what's the term they use? The type of man that most of these women are looking for.
Oh, a high value man.
Yeah, high value man. So a high value man, so you have to make like a couple $100,000. You gotta make $100,000 plus. So that's not realistic. So realistically, that's a marriage is a union, a marriage is a partnership, and that's just how it works. So
gotcha.
This question, no, it's not. It's not a prerequisite. It's not necessary. No.
Gotcha. Trey, you want to hop in?
Oh yeah, I always hear you talk about what a man's supposed to do, and I know you like defend women a lot, and kind of always.
The question was about men, not women.
No, I understood, but based on that, like, I'm curious, like, just from your perspective, can I ask like what a woman should be able to, like, do you expect anything from
yeah,
her?
But that wasn't. I can answer that question, but that was not the question at hand.
I understand that. So we don't have to get into it if it's too off topic, but it seemed like a lot. So that just begged the question of like
what seemed like a lot, by the way. Like what's a lot to you?
Man, you listed a lot of different criteria for what a man's supposed to do. So I was like wondering.
Listed two things.
Those two things.
Two things that he needs to be able to take care of himself,
right,
and be mature enough to hold himself accountable.
Oh, that's it.
Boom, that's it. What do you disagree with there?
I wasn't taking notes when you were talking, but I agree with those two things. But I could have sworn your answer was a lot longer than that. But I'll digress.
All right, so all the other fellas, I know kind of Kofi and I know G explicitly lined out this the answer to this question. But to y'all, what does a 30+ year old man need to have in place before thinking about marriage?
I would basically say at that point in your life, you should be able to master your finances and know what your goals are, what you want in life, what you want from yourself, right? And where you're headed in life before you look for a partner to partner with somebody, right? So you have to master yourself, know who you are, know what you want, what your goals are. So when you do find someone, you know who's the right fit for you.
All right, so that sounds like financially stable. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah, that's pretty spot on.
Okay.
I think maturity might be thrown in there because I think there's a certain level.
Niggas repeating what G said, but I guess that was a lot. It's like I get accused. I don't like the false accusations.
I had a little internet issue. My bad, bro. But yeah. I mean, if you said that, I totally agree.
Now, Johnny, I agree with you, bro. I agree with what you said.
Yeah.
This is infighting right now. This is G and Trey. But now, A Black.
10 notes.
Yeah, I honestly think, like I said, it's not really a blanket answer. Like it depends on the type of woman you want, the quality of woman you want. So
let me ask you this: is there anything that all 30+ year olds should have in place?
I mean, I think you had a bare minimum things: a car, your own place, or at least a suitable place. Because I mean, you can have a nice place and be having a roommate or something. And a steady income, at least the average or above average income, which I put in the chat. 45,000 is the average. I mean, if you solo by yourself, I feel like you should at least be at that 50K range. But like it depends on what type of woman you want. Some women, all you need is a car to impress them. Some women, they looking at your credit, they looking at your family background, they're looking at a lot of other factors. So that's why I say it depends on the quality of woman. And typically, so we start with Kevin Samuels, the men and the women are looking for high value men, and the men are looking for the baddest bitches, or whatever. So he bases his criteria around what that group typically likes and what they typically select. So if you are seeking this, this bad looking bitch, this foreign chick or whatever, who can have any kind of man, you have to come with a certain income. You have to come with like a certain mystique about you that's above average, that's not average. But if you are comfortable with who's available to you sometimes not asking for as much, so it just depends on what you like. If you want this high value man, 6 feet, looks like this, makes this amount of money, you might want to look like this and have this body type, like he says. If you're a man and you have a girl that's courtside at the games, like, you got to come with a bag, because you don't see with sex workers, and there's not no diss to them, but it's like you see what people are selecting. So if you want that, this is what you need to be to get that. But there are people in your lane that's cool with what you got already. Usually people kind of want more than what they are in most cases.
Gotcha. All right, Trey, talk to us.
Man, I think what women want today is a lot more than what I think typically women wanted during like our grandparents' era. Because I've never seen so much designer in my life, Like I think our grandparents' era, they would want to get older and get a Cadillac. Nowadays, a lot of women, I mean, not all, there are definitely some women that aren't very materialistic, but I think materialism has really taken a different form with this day where everyone can pick up their phone and they see what everyone else is doing, keeping up with the Joneses. I think that does, if the pressure is on men to provide all of that, especially at a younger age, that's a lot of pressure. So I think if you find someone who is a builder, or if you're on your way up, I think that's probably a better avenue for women. I think it's also, as a man, if you get to that point, a lot of men who you're not going to go your whole life and get successful and then marry someone your age that wouldn't have talked to you when you were younger. That doesn't seem very fair. So,
but the question was, what do men like? What should men have in place, right? Like, I'm curious to hear your opinion on that too, though. Like, from like, what do you think is the bare minimum a man should have to pursue marriage with an individual?
I'm saying that I think you have to take into consideration what the expectations are in this day and age. And I think that if you're lady, a lot of, women in this era, you're going to have to consider that what you bring to the table is not going to be like the humble life. I mean, you're lucky to find a woman who is okay with that, with not being able to, because at 50K, you're going to have a harder time being able to like make her feel in a position where she's looking at like they see the woman with the bags, they hear about all this other stuff, the materialism, everything. You're not going to be able to provide that. So I think if you want to be able to have like the women that in this modern age and be able to provide for them, I think it's going to take you're going to have to make buku bucks
just for like the average person to get married.
I think unless you find that special someone, because I think
so you think most women are looking for multi-thousandaire, way
more now than there was before. I think that number has gone up a lot because, again, the social media people are constantly comparing themselves to what else is out there.
You think that could be like the loud minority?
I don't know, man, because they beating that drum so steady. Like when you listen to the music and you listen to they're it's an indoctrination now. You hear people, like the comment sections are full of people say, you even hear people talk and even in conversations, they're like looking for a bag. You see like 85%.
No, I guess I get that, but I guess like if we use that same example,
yeah,
in the music, you would imagine that like every guy has a BBL queen that's bad as hell, and you know what I mean, probably used to be a stripper or something like that. But in reality, and you see like most guys that are dating, they be with regular women.
Yeah, but
with regular jobs, and they just be together.
Dating or marriage, though. I thought you were talking about marriage because you can easily.
Especially marriage. It'd be like mad regular people with regular women. They that's what I be seeing. I guess inside like my anecdotal evidence, where like the loud minority for sure would be, whether it's like the Glorillas and Megans and everything that they say they want out of a female, or everything that Moneybagg Yo say that he want out of female.
Well, I would say these days there are less married people than ever. So I think that's more evidence of what I'm saying. Like the ones who are married, yeah, but it's like a lot of his sisters are like, it's like 25%, like one in four. Whereas at one point it was like dang near all, like in our grandparents' era, like people were getting remarried. I think the erosion of like gender roles has really made it to where it takes away a lot of the value that men had in marriage. Like, what do you want a person that's like just going to be like another like a homie, and then I think she's gonna want a man's gonna be a provider. There's a lot that goes into it. I think.
So Trey, let me ask you this this last question before we get off of like the red pill episode that we was on. You posed it, so I'll ask it to you, and we'll kind of go around. What should a woman have in place?
I think
before getting married.
Shout out to Kevin Samuels. Fit, feminine, and friendly is the main criteria. Because I think a man would rather have a woman who has all those things than any woman with a BBL or a baddie or anything like that with a bad attitude. Because most men really just want peace.
Okay. Who wanna hop in?
I mean, I get what Trey's saying. I mean, my wife, she has a lot of female cousins in their 30s, very successful. They make good money. And in this day and age, Trey's saying there's a lot of people like in their 30s, my sister-in-law included, they're just not married. And I guess people are more goal orientated, or I don't think marriage is as value as someone, I guess, from my age and my generation. They don't have that many kids and things like that. So like my wife's cousin, she probably makes, I don't know, I'm going to assume she's like a nurse practitioner, so she probably makes about $100,000 or just a little bit under that. And she was like, hey, look, I want a man that makes something close to that. And me and my wife kind of had like a back and forth. And I was like, yeah, but she getting all these guys that make good money, but at the same time, maybe you should focus on the money that they're making. Maybe you need to look at the security guard there that's pulling in maybe $50,000. And he probably have a lot more to offer than offering the financial aspect of the relationship. Yeah, this guy, he's buying you $100 shoes. He could take you anywhere and stuff like that. But I said, what are you marrying? You marrying his bank account, or are you marrying the man itself? And I think we need to determine, when we have people that are single and looking for people, what is your value system? Because once you understand their value system, then you kind of understand where you fail. For the short spaces of time where I was single, I was just think, okay, this person is single for a reason. I need to find out why. And can I live with that? So I kind of understand what Trey is saying. Yeah.
But to react to the question, what should a woman have in place before getting married? 30-plus-year-old woman, but
I basically,
or is there anything she should have in place?
I mean, basically, when I was dating, just women is just not crazy and just lying. I mean, a lot of lying, crazy women. My whole thing is trust. My whole thing wasn't finding attractive women. Is the values that their values match my values, right? So basically, that their values have to match your values in order for you to get along, right? Because you kind of, they're not your best friend, but you're hoping this person could potentially be your right hand, your right hand, and basically you have to pretty much have the same values, wants, and needs, pretty much.
Gotcha. So kind of mentally stable, mentally/emotionally stable. That's kind of what be easy way to wrap it. Johnny, talk to us.
Yeah, I kind of want to build on that one a little bit. I think
I'll ask you the question. What should a 30-plus-year-old woman have in place before thinking marriage?
I think the vision of the type of wife she wants to be, that aligns with like the type of wife that you want and that you need. Being that, like, I think, because not everybody has the same upbringing, and some women, some people, unfortunately, didn't have examples of healthy relationships, and sometimes that leads to trauma. Sometimes that leads to you not knowing what a healthy relationship is, and whether you get that from your family, your life experiences, your friends. I think she should have those examples to give a vision of what kind of wife she want to be, and it has to align with, like, the person that you need. I think that's something important, even on both sides too. I think that's something very important.
Okay, got you. Hey, and I guess quick housekeeping before we keep going. So we got a few of y'all inside the chat. We plus 20 right now inside. I need y'all to hit the actual chat comment. Y'all done slowed up a little bit. Talk to us. Let us know y'all thoughts. Obviously, the housekeeping would say there are super chats on G-ish podcast page. There's super chats on the To Be Fair show page. Kofi, I don't know if you got super chat set up, but I'll let him. He's also streaming. There is everybody's Cash App listed inside the description. If you like what Trey's saying, talk something to him. I see the support in the chat for Trey. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Listen, the kids told me no Diddy.
Yeah.
As y'all see, Johnny spamming his.
Mine spelled wrong on there, so I just wanted to make sure.
Johnny trying to get tipped like a stripper. Tell him, Johnny.
Hey, I took notes.
He on Onyx on Onyx on Wednesdays. But yeah, nonetheless, talk to us, A Black. What should a woman have in place? 30 plus, or is there anything that a woman should have in place outside of what's already been said?
Yeah, 30 plus. I mean, men way simpler. Like, we're not looking. I guess 30 plus, you expect at least a car, but shit, anything can happen. You might meet a chick. She might just had an accident. Who knows? Most of the stuff men look for on the inside. You know, her outside, her physical, her being clean, being in a clean place.
I think that's major right there.
Like, dudes are very simple. If she's into you, like, we'll back the chick that's bad at the Chipotle, like, who's like just a dope ass chick, and that's just where the cards at. Life dealt her. But a woman won't even consider a man most of the time, like, to even get to a conversation. Oh, dang, this is a good dude. You know, he work at Family Dollar, but you know, his life just got him there. Women don't even consider that. They're looking at the flash, the job. They want to know where you work. That's the way women count your pocket, asking your job, what you do, and stuff like that. Men care about who you are for real. Like, we want you to be bad and fine. But even like we talked about the music earlier, with it being impressionable towards the women and them kind of creating this mind state of money. Like, dudes want bad chicks or whatever. A few of them might rap about BBL. They all have the same thing they want, with is loyalty. Like, even the rich dudes want loyalty. Like, you only be into me. You know, you don't got to bring nothing. I think what happens now is, like, women have these crazy expectations on men, knowing that, like, this society is not setting us up to provide that men are pushing back. Like, well, if I have to be this and have this, then you should have this, and you should bring this to the table, and this back and forth. But really, we don't care. Like I say, if a woman is gorgeous and she's a good woman, we don't care what that woman has. A man will fucking do whatever he got to get her what she needs. Like, any kind of man, if she's totally into him and he feels that, and she makes him feel like a man, that's really all a woman got to do. Like, be loyal, be into you, be clean and shit. And, like, niggas don't care what you got. You got a busted down car, but you bad. A dude don't care. You got a busted down car and you a great nigga. A woman might not even get a conversation with you because she saw you pull up at the parking lot. You know, like, so we different. We're visual. You know, it's a lot of lust and primal energy out here with men, but for the most part, like, men just want a woman that's into them. Like, whatever you come with, if you're fine and you cool, like, we can make that shit work. But niggas gotta have all this external stuff, and that's why a lot of women choose the wrong men. Like, are settle or tolerate so much crazy shit from men because of what they have, what they can do for them financially. Like, the shit I've heard that women tolerate because the dude pays her rent, you know, gives her a couple of $1,000 and shit every 2 weeks or something.
Probably wild.
Crazy. But they get in that mode of, like, this is what they're telling us a man is. Somebody that can give you money, that can pay for your nails, that buy you weed, take you on trips, and you don't never show them, like, all this stuff. And it is like gasoline on fire with social media, with the music, because, like I say, the women are the biggest consumers of the music. They're more impressionable. They're probably the biggest consumer of social media, reality TV. Just kind of always constant external validation. So they project that on us, and men have become defensive over these past 5 to 10 years, are like, nah, like, all right, you bring it. It ain't nothing like that. They don't want to provide at the end of the day.
Gotcha. Well, again, I'm trying to think of like an easy way to sum that up. Would it being a stable adult outside, I mean, without the help of a man, be like pretty much an easy way to sum up everything?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, man. Hey, can I say something y'all might like real quick, man? I want to say,
hold on,
fellas,
A-Black, does that fairly
my bad.
represent what you had just said?
Asking the panel, my bad.
Oh no, that was A-Black.
My bad.
No, I said, did that fairly represent kind of what, like a quick little sum up of what you were saying?
Say your sum up again.
No, I just said being a stable adult, like in general, whether that's mentally, not having to depend on like a guy, and where you end up being inside like a very specific scenario, as though you kind of was talking about. I know you hit on like other like tropes that kind of dealt with what men have to do, but like if this was like your little sister, or it feels like your like a good friend girl that you had, what would you tell her to make sure that she had? To me, it sounded like you were saying, like, just make sure that you're stable without a man, so that you don't have to like deal with that as leverage.
Yeah, I would have everything that you expect, have everything that you can reciprocate. You know, like that's when you actually deserve something. You can do it for yourself too, and it's nice to find someone that can come in your life and do it for you. But if you can't get your own hair done, if you can't for your own school, or get your way and just do the same things you expect a man to give you or come with, then you're gonna always be choosing somebody that's not good for you. So I would tell him, like, yo, have what you want already, and you know you're gonna attract. Usually, you'll attract people on your level when you got what you want.
Gotcha. All right. So G, so far we have mentally stable, emotionally stable, being able to be pretty much, you know what I mean, just a stable adult on their own, to where they're not dependent on anybody, especially financially, clean, loyal. Anything
clean
else
is not even like, if you're not clean, we not even like, you know, like clean ain't even shouldn't even be mentioned here. Like if you're not clean, we not even gonna make
it sound like maybe niggas have to make sure that they clarify clean with females. I don't know. but talk to us. Do you have anything else that you want to add to that list?
You forgot the 3 F's, but yeah.
No,
fit. My bad. Fit, feminine, and friendly.
Look, I agree with the Kevin Samuels.
And freaky, I don't know. Maybe that's the last F. But
it definitely is a boost. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
bro, here y'all go.
But the thing is like,
damn, FBA don't like sex either. God damn it, Trey.
You said freaky.
Yeah, like just not inside like the wildest way of like, I don't know if you take that to like a LGBTQ. I'm just saying it like the way they used to use it in like the 90s when Martin Lawrence used to say.
Regular freaky. 19.
Yeah, like regular
99 freaky.
Yeah, that's all.
Freaky ass nigga, you a sissy non-god.
No, not that one.
Oh,
you're right. I guess like Kendrick has bastardized freaky. You cool.
Yeah.
I'll take it away. G, talk to us.
So
anything outside of those things?
So I would say for me, I'll boil it down to two things. The biggest thing, for a woman to be ready, she has to have the ability to respect that man's boundaries. If you can't respect his boundaries when he clearly articulates, like, for example, I don't want to be talked to that way. Please don't speak to me that way again. And she can't respect that as a boundary in terms of how y'all communicate, probably not ready to be wifey material, right? Like, I don't think it's a man's job to tell a woman what to do, but it's a man's job to establish what he's going to accept within the relationship. And if you don't have and if you, as on the other side, as a woman, if you can't respect that man's boundaries, you don't need to move forward marrying that man. And the second point is where I think women often make a mistake, is they think that if they do certain things, this nigga will change. No. You need to understand that you got to be realistic about who you're talking to and who you're dealing with versus idealistic. That woman has to understand that just because she does X, Y, or Z, it's not going to mean that this man will change into something else over time. You got to understand who this person is. It's like when Dennis Green was like, they are who we thought they were. Like, you got to understand, like, what he's showing you is what he's presenting.
Yeah, some of that Napoleon complex rage coming out too.
He did, but at the same time, when you know what you're going up against, like you, as a woman, in my opinion, you shouldn't marry someone expecting them to change in the long run. That's not a good strategy, in my opinion. So to me, those are really two key things. If you can't respect boundaries and honor what your man has in place in terms of how he's going to be treated and how he should be respected, don't do it. And if you think that he's just going to change into this man that you picture in your head, like this picturesque husband, he's not that now, hasn't shown you that now, but he's going to turn into this over time. Like, you might want to figure out or acknowledge the fact that what he is who he is. And at the core, what his whole say, like, you can change, but that's just the top layer. Like, you was who you was before you got here. You got to understand, like, at the core, we're all what we are. We grow and evolve, but we don't really, we're still the same animal, really. We just transform into the next evolution of that thing. It doesn't really change at the core.
All right. So to summarize that, respect boundaries and don't believe in potential.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me add to that real quick, because what G said was very powerful. I believe because, again, when I met my wife, we were probably dating for like 2-3 years. The last year when I proposed to her, I was like, hey, look, because we weren't living together. So when we were engaged, we lived together for a year. And after a year, we feel that, hey, look, this is still what we want to do. We went ahead with it. And I remember on the day we decided to get married, I said, hey, look, I never been married before. She never been married before. I'm like, hey, look, I'm marrying you because I love who you are, what you are. I love being a part of your life. I love what you give me. I don't want nothing to change. This is just a piece of paper. Right, nothing's going to change at this point, right? This is what we're doing legally, and I established that. So it wasn't. So what G is saying is absolutely right. You're not get married to the person who you love. Don't get married to the possibility of the person who you wish, whatever you wish to be. So that was powerful.
Gotcha. If I was to add one thing, I'd say,
those are two married brothers too. So
this is a fact.
Those are experts.
To me, I think that I don't think that anybody's hit on yet. I think that it's important to, especially if you're 30 plus, have a history of at least a few recent healthy relationships. Like that, it's like as simple as that. I know, like if I'm like dating it and I'm outside, like I'm kind of like paying attention to that when I talk to a person. Like that's one of them like quick early vetting, like red, like like you draw the red line underneath that question, because of like if you don't have any version of a history of healthy relationships, it's probably some shit that you got to figure out. But nonetheless, that is that. Any closing remarks, or we kind of like beat this one like a dead horse, to be honest.
Switch it up real quick, because I think because a lot of this comes from I want to say a lot of this stuff we talk about when we talk about complaining, I want to blame the simps for a lot of this too, because they have kind of coddled this and this behavior. Like you see the dudes wifing up strippers and everything like that. So women see that and they're like, oh, it can be like me too. So I think men need to do a better job of like standing their ground and not like just tolerating a lot of this, because otherwise you're just gonna end up, creating the people that you want to go against. And the last thing I think is black men, we haven't had any, we've been kind of been I love my sisters, but we we're the only race that really hadn't had a choice until like 20, 30 years ago. So I think sometimes it feels like as black men, we get things taken for granted, especially like with politics. I would say black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party, you know what I'm saying? They do things to advocate for them and everything like that. So I think what you're seeing now, especially with a lot of brothers, like, speaking up on things, I think that's a reaction to, us like trying to assert trying to get some respect, because black men's masculinity in America has never been really respected until recent times. And that's like going on like centuries of history here in America. So I think we have to put everything in the context.
Gotcha. So moving it forward, we have again, this is the season finale. drop a super chat. We got G-ish podcast streaming. You got the To Be Fair show streaming. You have Kofi that is streaming. Wherever you're viewing this from, hit the chat, hit the super chats, and then hit them cash apps. But nonetheless, this is the season finale. We're recapping the season. So we did get into some. Well, I'll probably say like maybe at least half of our conversations has revolved around some level of Black identity. And so with that said, I believe Trey sent in this meme, and I'll use this as a marker to kind of kick off the conversation. Me and Trey had a little spirited like text message conversation about what is Black, what actually is Black. So after I play this, I'd love for y'all to answer what is Black, and has your definition of what Black is evolved since kind of we've started having these conversations. So let me push play. Or maybe this might not work. This might be some Kamala. Trey, I didn't watch this. Is this Kamala? We'll play it anyway.
Africans coming to the United States are immigrants, first and foremost. Then whatever country they're from, and then at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna pause this for a second. Fellas, I'd love for y'all to just hop into the posed question.
What you thought I was gonna send something crazy?
Oh no, I thought that this was something that I was talking about, like identity markers as being Black. But this is for like a further conversation that we're gonna end up having. Yeah. So I'll re-ask the question. The question is, what do you define as Black, and has that evolved from the conversations inside season 1?
Going in order or just jump in?
Matter of fact, we can start this one in order. We'll start with G.
And the question is, what is Black, right?
Yeah, what is Black? Yep.
Right. So
what do you define as Black?
So I think there's Black in America. Black as American is one thing. I would say it's something that really doesn't exist until people of color come over to America and start to understand that classification system as it relates to race. But even within the Black community, we do need to establish that there's a difference between people who are Black that are from America, that descend the ADOS crowd, the FBA crowd, versus the other Black Americans that immigrated here more recently. And so I think Black speaks to what you look like in America, ultimately. And that's in large part due to like this idea of a one drop rule that I always heard growing up. Like it didn't take a lot to be Black. All you had to do was have a little drop, but you had to basically be pure to be called something else, to be Indian or white or whatever the case. But if you were mixed or you had a quarter or a third, you were going to be considered Black. So I feel like in America, Black speaks to what you look like, but we can't confuse what you look like as it relates to people who descend from American slavery and people who just got here. Those are two different types of Black Americans, in my opinion.
Gotcha. And let me ask. I'm gonna add on to the question. So I'll keep it with you. Can somebody outside of America be Black, or is that just like only a American terminology, colloquialism, whatever word you want to use?
Black culture spreads just like all our culture, right? Hip hop spreads, but at the end of the day, you don't understand what that means until you come to America. So if you want to identify as Black in the UK or in France or the Caribbean or whatever you call it, like, more power to you. But what originated as the Black experience, that's not it. You got to be over here to understand what that really means, in my opinion.
Okay. A Black. I think you muted.
Yeah. Like you were saying, Black is American. It's a social construct in America, specifically a visual identifier. simply based on color and the darkest of color. So can anybody come to America and be black? Yeah. Wherever you come from the diaspora, if you are dark skinned, as soon as you cross these borders, you become black because that's how you visualize, that's how you categorize, that's what's on our census, it's what's on our job forms. It's the identifier for, you know, people of color. So, and then beyond that, it's a culture. So it's a talk, it's a music, it's the euphemisms that we all share, but even if we don't know each other, that, you know, were kind of created and crafted in this American cauldron, this culture where we all kind of became our own type of Africans. Because I mean, that's what we are if we're going genetically. But majority of us is Africans, but black people, you know, through slavery, through Jim Crow, through segregation, and do like probably the worst oppression that anybody around the world has faced from white people, you know, created us to be like this small 13% that's completely different from the diaspora, but influencing it all. So you can be black in other countries, like specifically, especially the UK, because they have similar dynamics. They didn't have, I feel like, as hard because most of them a lot of times become Jamaican and African immigrants, but second and third generations, they would be considered their version of blacks or the black Brits and whatnot. You know, they're the minority in color there. So yeah, in essence, it's just a culture for real, but it's American.
Oh, okay.
And it can influence, you know, other sects where we are minorities in other part of the world. You can become black there as well.
Okay, so just for clarification. So in essence, sound a lot of what you were saying is that black kind of ends up being, or black is more than anything a cultural experience. So with that, so are Jamaicans in Jamaica black, or they're not black? Or Africans in Africa, are they black? Are those like black people?
Yeah, like I said, once you come over here, the visual,
but not coming to America, like as in like where they're at.
No, they are what they are, where they are.
They got a geographical reference because they are on their country where
They don't. Okay, so I actually don't know this answer. So Jamaicans don't call themselves black, and Africans don't call themselves black. This is just a pure.
I know it's not a blanket. I know not all of them for sure. Like I know it's definitely populations who don't call themselves black and they identify as the Jamaican tribe, depending on where they're from, different things.
Like, well, is that like a minority or majority? Because I guess like you could say that same thing inside like America.
No, you can't. When you can say who has a tribe. You're black and American, no tribe. What do you mean?
No. Hold on, wait. So understand what I'm saying. I said that G said the word identify. There are black people in America that don't identify under the moniker as black. Like they use like it's a bunch of different terms that they might use. There's a lot of you can go down like a conservative rabbit hole, and there's a lot of.
Well, they say they're American.
You can go down like the black native rabbit hole.
But they say
you can go down like there's a bunch of like different groups of people.
Bro, you can't.
Go ahead, my bad.
You gotta give some examples. You just saying stuff like you said black Americans don't identify as black, and I'm like, who? And you telling me black natives?
Okay, I'll give you like a concrete answer in a second. I'll just look it up. That doesn't identify as black. I don't know. My thing is that there's the minorities of all.
There's somebody in our chat that said they identify as American, and like I think there has
right.
been,
That's like it's not like a.
As far
as talking about American black Holocaust survivor, is that the person you're talking about? Because I saw him, the black Holocaust survivor, say that too. It's like, bro, you don't have to play devil's advocate against your own people all the time, bro. Like, dang.
I'm not, but I'm saying
you said we travel like they are in Africa. That's not true, bro. They got igboos. They got
that wasn't the point that I was making at all.
Like Trey, you gotta calm down.
Hey, Johnny Trey. I forget who he was on, but we're kind of like devolving into a tangent. Hey, Black, I think that. Well, I was asking you that specific question.
Like, people abroad that have been immersed into our culture and that grew up in it as well, they will identify as black or consider themselves black, but also where they're from as well. But it's not the same disdain. Like some Africans or some Jamaicans, like don't call them black at all. Like call them what they are. But there is a newer crop that identifies and knows the term black don't mean like I'm from America or whatever, but they're understanding like the other side of the
They
term.
probably Pan Africanists too. Would you agree with that? Like that's like if you are on the island or on the continent and you're of that Pan African mindset, you kind of adopt this black identity, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, they like I said, they experience white people in their cultures too. They're not the majority, but they know what it's like to be treated a certain way just because of the color of your skin, i.e. black. The tribes, the countries, none of that don't matter when you get the same treatment everywhere.
And I think
Johnny, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because I mean, I think the term black is subjective in the context that you're using it in. I mean, of course, I'm a believer of the the foundational black, the AADOS movement. I'm a believer in there is something special about the Black American experience, especially that's been here since the times of slavery. I think also, if we're being realistic, there's a lot of other people based on just skin color who immigrate into this country and they don't get treated like white people. Their experience is a relative experience to what we as foundational Black Americans have in this country. And I think that's why sometimes in the context they use it, they may identify as black, because if you have this skin tone, no matter what your nationality is, there's certain places where you're only going to get treated based on what your skin tone is. And I think in that context, even a lot of Africans move over here and naturally have to identify as black. That doesn't mean that they identify with the Black American, experience. They just identify with the like A Black was saying, they identify with the treatment that you get when you come over here. And I think we gotta, that's very important. If we talk about why certain people may claim the black experience, it's because it's their experience. They've experienced it. And yeah.
Kofi.
As the only so-called, what we consider not Black American, so-called foreigner immigrant, I want to see that the question is genuine, but it's that the question is insane to me. That because it sounds like this narrative is being placed that only Black Americans consider themselves black. It's complete insanity and just a farce, right? All the way back in Africa, when linguistically they call each other black. Now, where you guys, I think you miss your eyes, you lose the ball, is that they don't have to constantly call each other black. You know why? Because they're in a predominantly black place. So calling each other black doesn't say who they are specifically. Just like if you go to Europe, they're not calling each other, like 600, 700, 800 years ago, they're not just calling each other white. Chinese people are not just calling each other fucking Chinese in China, because they're all fucking Chinese. In China, they're gonna say, okay, where are you? What province are you from? Do you speak Mandarin or Cantonese? Then we start getting to the specific people in that group. I'm saying that to say, Africans, there's blackness in Africa, but they'll call each other by their tribe. There's blackness in the Caribbean, right? And it's the same blackness in the Caribbean as would be in America. Why? Because in the Caribbean, the black experience in the Caribbean is similar to the black experience in America. Why? Because the same white people's kicking your ass up over here are the same white people's kicking our ass down over there. They didn't treat us better or any different. So this rudimentary farce of, do people consider themselves black is an unproductive conversation. I think the question should be, I mean, you guys end up leading to it, is, well, once they're here, do they understand what American blackness is? I think that's the better question. And when it comes to
can I ask Kofi a question real quick?
No, I was going to go to the people that said that black was more so a cultural thing. I'd love to hear y'all response to that.
But hold on, I want to say one more thing that I'm in it. So this whole thing, also saying, well, immigrants. This is the thing that has been very pervasive since this whole treating the sheet FBA nonsense started. If we look up the word immigrant, it's on my page. If you look at the word immigrant, the definition of immigrant, a person that comes from another place, that moves and goes to another place and establishes permanent residence. The only difference between, if you're not a Native American, you're not an immigrant. The only difference between Black Americans is that their migration was forced, right? Due to the transatlantic slave trade. Your migration was forced. So to say, well, no, I'm not an immigrant in any shape or form, again, is unhistorical, right? Your immigration is different, but you cannot say you're not an immigrant. So I just wanted to say that.
Gotcha. But I guess I don't want us to kind of get you.
That don't even make sense, bro.
I guess I don't want us to get derailed into like that conversation. So again, fellas, stay focused. Stay focused.
But we gotta but
no, I want, let's stay focused to like the actual conversation. There was a piece that directly went towards what you were saying that dealt with the topic. Let's stay there for a second. So what is your response to the idea that I guess like Black is more so a expression, a descriptor across the diaspora, and not just a specific cultural thing? I guess people go ahead. I'll let you answer.
So it's like, for me, there's a big difference between an immigrant and a slave, one, and then when you talk about being Black, like, to say that it's a farce, like, the thing is, I think what's more powerful than seeing a video on the internet or reading something is experience, real life experience, talking to real people. And in my experience, I've talked to Black immigrants from Canada. I've talked to Black immigrants from the Caribbean, and I'm talking firsthand experience. Black immigrants from all parts of Africa. And what I have heard as a common thread between all of them was that nobody referred to themselves as quote unquote Black until they got to America. It wasn't a thing where they were. That's what I've heard from my experience. So what
do Canadian Blacks call themselves?
I don't know what to tell you. They just Canadian. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this idea of race identity and politics. It's like
they're not.
So I guess
Canada is from a Black person from Canada is either be from America or they're going to be from the Caribbean or maybe from Africa. So to say that kind of makes no sense because I have
I guess I'm talking to Black Canadians, and they said they didn't like this idea of Black wasn't a thing until they got to America. They didn't really understand it until they got here.
So you're saying
what do they call Black people in Canada? Or are they like completely colorblind?
When I was here, so you're saying a person like me when I came here, I didn't identify myself as Black until I got here. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm telling you is I've talked to actual people, and that's their experience. So to say that it's just a complete farce, I think is a bit of a stretch because it discounts like real life experience that this is what actual people are saying. That's all I'm saying. If it's not your experience, that's one thing, but that doesn't mean that it's a complete farce and it's not a real thing.
Yeah, but you said kind of like a blanket statement. And it kind of like, because in my country, they had African studies. My aunts and my uncles, they had African studies. They were told that they were Black. They knew who they were as Black people. Now, I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying because I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true. But again, just like how Black Americans are not a monolith, so-called Black immigrants in America are also not a monolith. You have the same, you guys have segments of your society that has self-hate. We have people in our society that also have self-hate. So you kind of gotta okay. Go ahead.
Damn.
Oh no, my bad. I had to look it up, and because my question that I was going to ask G was going to be, because of Blacks are still a minority in that country, well, y'all understand what I'm saying when I use the word Black. What do Canadians call like Black people? Not necessarily like the people from Eritrea or Ethiopia that immigrate there, but Black people. But it looks like maybe they call them Afro-Canadian, which is kind of like similar to African American. Okay, but that was the question. I don't know if you still want to respond to it or not.
Afro-Canadian ain't black.
It really isn't, bro. That's the whole
like,
point.
That's all I'm saying. And so Kofi's like, he's about to fall out his chair. So it's like, if that is the point where it's like we don't see it the same way, then that's just what it is. But Afro-Canadian is not black. It's Afro-Canadian.
So
I guess
what does Afro mean? What does Afro say? Because
we weren't even called African Americans till the 80s, my nigga. Like this idea.
The white man names you nigga, and you guys go up about that.
No,
so whatever the white man called you, that's what y'all went by.
Bro, that's not.
You didn't have you had a self-identification, and that was beat out of our black asses. So whatever name you're calling yourself is not the name that you had before you got off the ship.
And neither is it Jamaican, nigga. Neither is it Jamaican or anybody else.
Exactly.
All these niggas colonized. What are you talking about?
I'm not denying that.
So what are you talking about?
Blackness is something that sounds like you cultivated all on your own, like the name. No, it's not. Whatever the white man.
It was cultivated in America, is my point. It was cultivated in America.
Who are you to tell us, Kofi? Like, why do you have his vitriol?
Because I know history and I can read. That's why I can.
Hey, fellas, really quickly. Who
are you to tell us?
Fellas. So really quickly, things. We're getting close to like that space where it becomes contentious, and we're not even going to like listen to each other or have like a full conversation. Because we're just kind of, trying to overtalk each other's points. So, G, I guess I'll ask you this question, and we'll probably kind of like go to whoever the next person is. So, this is just like inside like some of my like very sophomore like understanding and research. So, when they say like Kemet back in the day, and they defined it as like the land of black people, or when like the term like I don't know, almost like the etymology of negro, negra, and it starts all like the idea of describing black. Is that different because it's like it's synthesized through a different language, or is that not necessarily like the exact same descriptor that black specifically is, and it's just translation?
Yeah, it's way different because it's almost like America is an institution that classified people as X, Y, and Z, and that really defined like how you experience life in America from the start of the country. When you compare calling motherfuckers Moors or Negroes, that was like just a motherfucker calling a nigga a Moor and a Negro. Like it was more like it wasn't an actual thing where you had to stamp a thing, identify as a Moor, claim that you're this or that. It wasn't like it was in America. It wasn't a classification system. This did not exist until America, the experiment of America started. Like that's my whole point. So they're not the same, not only because of the words and the language, but the culture. Like what made someone black or Moorish or whatever in Europe or in the Arab community is not what made you black in America. They're two different things.
Can I respond to
that? Well, I guess let me let Trey get in, and then yeah.
First off, this vitriol and content is what really sparked this FBA movement. Because like behind you have a picture of a person calling them a black culture vulture. My grandmothers and my grandparents all said that they were Native, and they had said they had Native roots. And a lot of Black Americans have that sentiment. So if you have a picture there calling us like our grandparents culture vultures, man, that's very disrespectful, bro. And we all know that even in Africa, some of them treat each other worse than white people are treating us in present day. Because in Nigeria, they have civil wars, they have tribal beefs and everything like that. So if they're all black, then what's all this tribal stuff going on? We all have all these wars back and forth. And second, I guess I reject the one drop rule to answer your question more specifically. I think black is a culture. That's why we have FBA / Black American Freedmen / ADOs. That's a lineage. So I guess you can be black in Africa if you put black empowerment first. But I think when we have this blanket blackness, one drop rule BS that we got from the colonizer, who before he came around, we were our nations. We were not just one big global Negro. I think when we adopt that mentality, it puts us vulnerable to have Trojan horses that come among us that don't share our They don't really care about our people. They don't care about our struggle. Because why would they? They don't. A lot of us have. Our grandparents might have known each other back in the day. For all we know, you know what I'm saying. We have cultural ties. So when we have Trojan horses like that, we can have our Joy Reids who are leading us astray and like just shilling for Democrat more than putting them first, and then we can open up for Obamas and Candace Owens, and then Kamala Harris's, who they put on this black cloak, and then they come in, and then bam, they don't do our bidding at all. So blanket blackness will be the death of us, bro. We gotta stick to our lineage, and if you show and prove that you're about black empowerment, I don't care where you are on the globe, you black. But when you start putting all this stuff to the if you have separate ties, or you don't like this other person because they're from another tribe or something like that, and you're willing to go to war with them, or you siding with white supremacists and all the other stuff, and you come over here and you're saying we don't need reparations or anything like that, then we need to treat people the way they treat us. And also that applies to the Negro escorts that bring them amongst us and then vouch for them and put us all in danger. I think they need to get the excommunication as well. Because every revolution starts with weeding out those among us who are saboteurs, because that's the easiest way to destroy a revolution is if you destroy it from within. So sum it up, that's why we got to get rid of global blackness. Just because you're melanated means that you're family. Nah, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. We should know that by now.
Gotcha. And before we go back to you, Kofi, Johnny, round us off with your opinion.
I mean,
what is black, and has it evolved over? And that seems like it's a question of is it? Oh, you did? All right, my bad. Then shit, we can actually
respond.
Okay, go ahead.
Because like I agree with what Trey said. Like we like, and I think Kofi's experience is like there's a certain thing that comes with the black experience that you just can't deny. You can't, and like you say, people. Trey said the Trojan horses, and we do have to start with ourselves. And Trey, that's why I say we have to be able to criticize black people if we not gonna it can't all be roses.
Not Huey Newton and Michael and Magic and Martin Luther King. Let's start with Joy Reid and Candace Owens, because you defended Candace Owens, but you said you said Huey Newton might be a crackhead. No, bro, that's not what I'm talking about.
Who you voting for and who Candace Owens voting for? Are y'all voting for the same person?
Yeah, I'm leaning Trump right now. I'm Trump over Kamala. Trump over Kamala.
Johnny.
But I'm also voting for the same person as Nick Fuentes and the Proud Boys. So I mean, it's policy.
Oh, Trey, you can't be saying that with your chest out. Come on, brother. You identifying with the Proud Boys?
You're identifying with the.
All right, listen. I think right now we're getting into a later question. Was going to ask, is voting for Trump off code? But Trey, continue to the point that you was trying to make.
Oh, just the same. I'm voting along the lines of John brought up Kamala Harris. I mean, you brought up Candace Owens. So I'm trying to get
you to derail away from the tangent that you was at. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, I got you. But the whole all skin folk and kinfolk thing, just because you have black skin doesn't mean you should be able to come amongst Black Americans and be our representative. Because what we have now when the Democratic Party is we have domestic tethers before I offend anybody. But we have foreign tethers who are like the lady who interviewed Trump. She was Ghanaian. Then we have the Haitian lady who's the spokesperson for the White House for the Democrats. And we have your Joy Reids, your Roland Martins, your Candace Owens, your Barack Obama. None of them share our lineage, but they are the voices of Black America. We cannot stand for that. No other group allows you to come amongst them, and then be the voices for them. Even like these Native American tribes, you have to be of the tribe to be a chief. To be in the Sicilian mob, you have to be Sicilian by blood. Like to be Jewish, you have to have ties with your Jewish mother. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a connection to the people you represent. But if we go by this one drop rule and we just let anybody in the globe who we have no connection to, has no connection to us, no loyalty to us, come and serve, and we just get behind them just because of the melanin in their skin, I think that's extremely foolish. And we should have learned that with Obama. If we're gonna repeat that same thing with Kamala Harris, then I give up, bro.
Hey, one thing I will say, I commend Trey for his creativity with his name flips for Kamala. Like I done heard about 4 of them. He got like I done heard an easy 4 of them. Kofi, I guess.
I'll respond to that first.
Quickly, and then we're going to Kofi.
Because I actually agree with that. Like I do agree there's like value in the Black American experience, and we do have to push for that, and like especially as Black people. But I think with any movement, even if you study how the people in the Middle East got their power, they had allies and they had a global push to get them to that power, and that's how they were able to establish that nation amongst enemies. And it wasn't just them by themselves, but it took a whole group of them. And I think collaboration is way better than infight. And I do think we do have to, focus on our own goals, especially the FBA and the ones that are here. We have to push for that, but we don't need to be focused on fighting and worrying about, because I don't think other Black people have our worst interests at heart, way more so than white supremacist system we fight.
It's very naive, John.
And so this will be a question I'll ask y'all to kind of to wrap up the what is Black section. We'll try and keep our commentary. Let's try and keep it under 2 minutes. Obviously, I ain't gonna put the timer up, but I know we can kind of push. I mean, we got a couple more topics that I think is going to be really important to get through. What is, when y'all say Black culturally, what do you mean by that? Kofi, we'll start with you.
First of all, before I answer the question, you have to remind me. A lot was been said, and I kind of want to address mostly what Trey has been said. And quick.
But I got you.
Why I gotta be quick? They said a lot of things, and
I know. Well, right now, as we're moving just the conversation forward, this is going to be for everybody. Like I said, this round we're going to try and keep it quick. Yes, acknowledge that. I'll give you like an extra 30, 45 seconds to respond. But then, if you want to use all 2-3 minutes for whatever you want, I can't stop you. But just to keep from not getting to like all the things that we have on the list. And we got 6 people.
Yeah, but it's like 2-on-1. So you know what I'm saying? There's things I wanted to address. That's why I let people go, give people their time interrupted. But whatever, I'll just go because I'm wasting time anyway. So Trey was basically saying that my backdrop is offending his grandmother and all the other stuff. My screen is basically just to say that they are, and you guys had a guest on here the last time I was on here, and Trey and I had a conversation a week ago. We all know, to the guest that you had, he admitted it's like some cognitive dissonance happening here. He says that his great grandfather was in this country, met a Native American woman, and they had kids that gave rise to them, right? So what I'm saying, you have people that have that narrative. That is a Black American narrative. That is a Native American narrative. But what's being twisted here is that we were always the Native Americans here, and that's total bullshit. That's not historical at all, right? You had Native Americans and you had Black African slaves that came here, right? He's saying, I don't know any of you guys like that or you lean like that, but the difference between me and Trey is that I'm not gonna run away from my Blackness to say that I'm Native American.
Hey, Kofi, real quick, let me interject. Yeah. So our next topic is going to be FBA and Pan Africanism, in which we're going to get into the Black Native thing. I do want you to kind of like get like answer the question, because it's going to be more time to expand further on a lot of the different things. I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of points. Mm-hmm. We're going to steamroll through all of these in general in the conversation. All right, but culturally Black.
All right. Well, again. So we're gonna get to that. So what's the question again that you want me to
like as we've referred Black culturally to you, especially with like your specific experience, being somebody that did immigrate to America more recently, or I guess as when you was younger. Culturally Black, how do you define it? How do you look at that?
And again, I'll just keep repeating myself. There's no Black Americans did not invent blackness. That's extremely egotistical, right? Other people considered themselves Black if they want to, not because that's how we look like phenotypically, right? So the Black experience. So, and we had this conversation again. I know as a recap, the Black experience in California is not the same Black experience it would be in Georgia. The Black experience in Georgia is not going to be like the Black experience in Rhode Island, right? So just like so, what you're doing, you're kind of doing the same thing. There's a Black experience in the diaspora, but you comparing it like you're the standard of Blackness, which is again very egotistical and disrespectful to other Black people because they consider themselves Black too. There's Black Americans here that don't consider themselves Black. I took a 2007 census and they say, what do you consider yourself? African American, Black, other, colored. I'm like, brother, why is there colored there? We're Black. He said it's someone, I forgot what state it was. They don't consider themselves Black. They fought to be colored on the census.
Bro, can I hop in there?
So, yeah,
can I
got you. I will. So just to make sure I summarize really quickly. So it sounds like you're saying Black is not specifically cultural, but phenotypic and genetic more than anything.
No, what I'm saying, Black, since we all saying the same genetics, as we come from the same place, the only difference is where we are geographically. So where we are geographically, our Black experience is still different. You know what I'm saying? But we're still Black. My Black
exactly.
experience.
I got you. So what was that a fair like summary of it phenotypically and genetically, but not specifically culturally? Because you're Black. It sounds like you're saying you're Black no matter where you are. But like your cultural experiences might be different depending on specifically where you're at. Johnny.
And but I think that's the exact point I said where context matters. Like, of course, phenotypically, we all share a common thing because of the color of our skin. When we're saying Black here, Kofi, in America, you're discounting the Black experience when we say we are Black. And you acting like there's not a unique, you act like this is not the greatest country in the world and it was built on the backs of Black people specifically in this country. And that goes to what like Trey talks about all the time is like you're discounting that when it comes to Black in America. And like, so maybe we should be very, very specific every time we say Black, that we mean Black in America, foundational Black American. But when we say Black, you have to understand that's what we're talking about. And
hey, Johnny,
where was I disrespectful or disregarding that? I don't see where
I think he just has a difference of opinion of what Black culturally is. But Johnny, you didn't answer the question at all.
And I didn't demean Black Americans in my.
I didn't say, but just to say that we're not Black, just to say that we're not Black or we're all Black.
No, I didn't say you're not Black. I said everybody is Black, but the only difference is that your Black experience in America is going to be different from my Black experience here. To keep it more local, you wouldn't say the Black person experience in Rhode Island is different from the one in Mississippi, but you're not going to say they're not Black. That's why I'm using that analogy. So same thing, just more internationally. I can't say you're not Black because you're in America and I'm in Jamaica, so I'm more Black than you. It's an asinine conversation. My experience is just different as a Black person. That's just it. It's not that hard.
I mean, that's fair to say, but I think what Trey talks about, there's a value in what we got right here.
For sure, and that's the FBA movement. All right, so you're not going to answer the question?
Repeat the question. I was just listening to Kofi.
Like what do you define Black culturally as? Like when we say these words, like Black is culturally specifically like a thing, or Black, like American Black culturally, like what do you define that as?
Oh, to me, I define it as Black American, like the FBA experience. That's my definition of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so all right. So in your idea is that being Black is only an American thing as well, correct?
In the context of what I'm saying, yes. Like I think it's a contextual thing.
Okay.
When I say it, yes, but I can't say if you're in Africa, you're not Black. I can't,
Do you use terms like Black people all across the world or all across the globe?
I may have in the past, but I kind of think about it differently now, for sure.
Okay. G, let's go to you. What do you? What is the question? Culturally Black. How do you define that?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, man, I think black, when we say the word black, it's just like, two people can say that something is dope and it means two completely different things. We could say something is fly, but it don't mean it's nothing in the sky. So words have different meanings. And I think the way Kofi's using the word has one definition, and the way that some of us are using the word has a different definition, ultimately. And so my idea of the black experience is based off of what happened in America, because there was like, who in Africa was screaming black power before it was mentioned here in America? I'm curious, right? Like, there are things culturally speaking, like black Americans don't claim jerk chicken or plantains. Like these aren't black cultural things. Like these are attributed to that region of like Caribbean culture or whatever. Like black culture isn't jollof rice. That's a West African culture thing, right? So like this idea that like we just share all this culture is not true, because these things don't translate in America. Like this isn't something that we embrace here. And so I think
hey, G, I guess like to answer one of your questions, or I guess I love to hear you respond to what I imagine like the rebuttal to one of your questions would be. I think Kofi, he made the statement that black people in Africa don't necessarily have to refer to themselves as black because of the dominant society. So it's not specifically a marker that you would need to use in comparison to America, where it's a minority. It's a marker that is like stated in general. So in Africa, that wouldn't be something that they would say because of it's no specific reason to say it. But so then the identity markers, but I guess the idea would be, does that make them not black because of they don't have to say it all the time?
Look, like I said,
they don't say it at all.
We could say fly, and we're not necessarily talking about something in the sky. Like the same word can mean different things. And I think the way we as black Americans define what black means is different than what people outside of America tend to, based off of what Kofi's saying. But like from my experience, like I said, I've talked to Africans, Jamaican descendants in the UK. I remember like being in England talking to a Jamaican girl about like, you don't identify as black. And she was like, nah, like it wasn't a thing. She didn't understand it. She didn't like lean into that. And so what I'm saying is like this idea that black, like when you descend from what I descend from, you are black. It ain't no question of, if you're not calling yourself American, you are identifying as black, and the other might say African American as synonymous with black, but culturally speaking, it's about what happens here. And just one last thing, like everybody has different experiences, but the reality of blackness in America is that there was a great migration from one part of the country where there are reasons why black people are in Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, anything out in the West. They migrated there from the South. Okay. And so the majority of those black folks, culturally speaking, I guarantee you every nigga in America got one family member in North Carolina. It's like guaranteed. Every nigga in America got family down south. It's just, it is what it is. And so when you say that it's a different cultural experience to some degree because you grow up in a different part of the country, but your home base is very much rooted in what was experienced in the black American southeast part of the country that spread through the United States. Like this is where it all is rooted, from the black southeast.
A Black, talk to us.
Yeah, I was agree with most. G was saying that I feel like both sides can be right. G was saying that it was no black power movements before it started here in the U.S., but I would push back on that and saying that most of the leaders, whether it's Stokely Carmichael, Huey P. Newton, the Black Panthers, civil rights leaders, Martin Luther King, they all were studying the African revolutions that were going on against colonialism way back since the 40s, you know. So the nonviolent movement that was started in South Africa, 49, MLK being inspired by Gandhi. So it's like we have our own things, our own cultures that, you know, came from us all being together. But I think at the same time, we can still embrace that we learn from everybody. You know, we learn from the Haitian Revolution. We learn from Black Power movement in America. We learn from revolutions in Africa against their colonizers, so they can get their independence. So it's like, I don't think we gotta like have this division of like, well, this is us, and like that's what makes us dope. Is like, yeah, a Black person can call themselves Caribbean. Maybe a Caribbean person that call themselves Black, and it's because of the cultural norms. But then somebody can move here, they can be 2 generations off, and they can definitely be Black American, but their grandma might be Jamaican or something like that. So, you know, we have to kind of like embrace, I feel like, everything, because nobody started nothing. You know, it all was derived from different things, but becoming a culture, what makes culture, the arts, the music, the language, the ways of talk, is only because of proximity and being close to each other. But we're all influenced by each other in different ways. But you know, like the biggest influence comes from Africa. No, even when you get the FBA and their leaders and their morals, a lot of that stuff came from them studying African revolutionaries as well. So, and then a lot of them, the way that we take it, just like hip hop, we put our own remix as Black people due to our experience. That influences them too. Like, yeah, we've been doing this as well, but this is a new way of doing it, like the Black Americans are doing it. So let's take on this rhetoric or these terms and whatnot. Everybody's been doing the same thing. Black people have been fighting for freedom everywhere, you know, and trying to get equal humanity everywhere. But I think we know what we talk about when we say, "Oh, you Caribbean," you know, you like playing. Are you Black? Are you African? Or you might be Afro-Canadian if you want to like go. Are you from Brit? You British? You talking about in it and different things. But at the end of the day, we all Black. You know, that's why we say we root for everybody Black. When it comes down to it, it's the skin color. You know, we can break down our differences, but I was asking Trey because he was talking about the natives, if he's done his ancestry and actually seen a native percentage, because it's very low percentage. And I know a lot of older Black people would say they have native in them or they Indian in them because it was a way to push yourself away from rape being in your line or being having forced sex being on your line. So I talked to my great uncle about this. Why so many Black people think they got Indian in them? It's like, no, majority are mixed with white, are mixed with Irish, mixed with Scottish in the South. But you don't want to say that. So you say, I got some Cherokee, because some did, but it's a very, very small percentage, you know.
Got you. Hold on, really quick, Johnny. Let me set the room really quickly. One, chats. It's no way that I'm about to be able to click everything. I'm gonna start with the last 20. If you want to make sure that your chat is seen and read on the show, again, you got 3 options to drop a super chat, or cash out one of the fellas, and we'll make sure that your comment is read. But from that, we're going to kind of move the conversation forward. And with that, we'll just start with the bottom row. We'll go Johnny, Kofi, then Trey in the conversation. But use the time as you feel. But we're going to go with FBA versus Pan Africanism Revisited. This has been, and we're pretty much there already. This has been pretty much our hottest topic of the season, where we've went from the Black native conversation, we've went to what is Black, which we just kind of jumped off of. We've went through, you know, like a you know, bevy of different versions of this conversation. So what I'd like to know is how has your opinion changed, and what is your current status when it comes down to your opinion on this whole FBA versus Pan-African conversation, and what it has sparked so far?
Let me go first. I just want to first say, if we talking about Black and what we as Black Americans saying, I think we gotta understand we're having this conversation in America. So there's a reason that the conversation is being had on this turf, because of, you know, the things that we've done. My mindset has changed over the course of the season. You know, Middle Ground Johnny, I was listening to it, but I think the FBA experience, especially even tonight, I think it's a great representation of how it kind of gets dismissed. And, you know, a lot of us, there's no focus on our specific experience in this country. Now, how we go about it, I think there's a couple different ways we can agree, disagree on different shit. But I think the Black American experience is something has not been properly. The reparations haven't been there. We haven't been, you know, we haven't got our recuperation for what's happened to us. And before we do anything else, I think that should be first and foremost.
Gotcha. And do you think that the division of FBA and the diaspora has been healthy? Has it been detrimental? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think it's been healthy at all. I don't know how much. I don't want to say it's been detrimental, because I think that side has not been given the power that the system has been given. And so I think if we, you know, I think the system is what we need to focus on first. So I mean, I'd say a net neutral. I think we just gotta just be very, you know, intentional about FBA moving forward.
Gotcha. So Kofi, throwing it to you, and again, you use the time as you feel free. But FBA versus Pan Africanism, just us revisiting it from the conversations that you've heard. You've hopped in on a lot of them. Where do you currently stand, and has it changed over the course of these conversations?
No, Mike.
And then of course, like the last part would be, do you think that it has been overall healthy or detrimental?
Well, I'll answer everything in reverse. I think I kind of agree with Johnny. I don't think it exposes how people feel. It exposes something that I think Black people in the diaspora, for the most part, trying to find a place in this world, trying to find an identity. So I think it's positive because it gets people thinking. It should get people researching, right? How do I feel about it personally? My position hasn't changed, because basically it's me reciting history versus people's feelings. No one's reciting professors. No one's reciting geneticists. No one's reciting anything to uphold their position on the opposite side, except for how they feel and what they think and all that other stuff. There's plenty of Black African American great grandmaster teachers that would be rolling and doing somersaults in the grave if they hear some of this make-believe FBA thing that just was invented. Also, I'd like to say we're not supposed to be using ad hominems, but let's
just try.
No. Hold on. I'm gonna do some self-house cleaning now, because something was said and it wasn't pushed back on, right? Tether was being thrown around, and that's an ad hominem attack. We already established that. But again, we're so
to be clear, like to clarify,
he was calling us tethers.
Yeah, he said domestic and which I don't even think that it was like anything directed to a specific person.
All right, so
I just want to make sure let's try and keep the conversation as healthy as possible to where.
Okay, so y'all have no problem with me calling Black Americans porch monkeys then, so and other derogatory.
But why would you want to call another Black person a porch monkey? Like, that's my question.
Unity, right?
Why do you? This is like the equivalent. No, this is the equivalent of white people saying, "Why can't I say nigga?" This is like white people saying, "Like, why can't I say the N-word?" You want to call us porch monkeys, huh?
Exactly. You want to say something derogatory towards me?
No.
You, then you got a problem.
I want to know why you want to call other Black people porch monkeys.
Be really respectful. If you say, "Yo, Kofi, I don't respect you," then I could deal with you on some real shit. But don't be when I had a problem with that. You can hear a mouse piss on cotton. You didn't say shit. The moment I say something that is just
all right. So, fellas,
then you want to get in your feelings.
I'm now going to kind of like hop in really quickly, and like on both sides of it. So now we've gotten to the unhealthy spot of the conversation that unfortunately tends to happen.
Because I gotta take it on the chin. I didn't say nothing when he said. No one.
I don't think that.
I'm just expressing how I feel, and that's a problem.
I got you. I think my main piece inside this conversation is that let's actually. So right now we're going to withstand from even the debate part of this. Let's individually answer it because of. I don't want this to just devolve into a shouting match.
This nigga wants to call us porch monkeys.
Listen, again, fellas, it's going to be impossible for us to have any version of a decent conversation. All right, how about this? If y'all just want to kind of like go into this ad hominem like wild shit, I'm gonna actually take a step back because of again, it's a season finale, and is this what we want? If not, let's actually have like an intelligent version of the conversation.
Q, please let me ask one question, bro. Let me ask you. I want to ask
every time.
So here goes.
People go 3 minutes uninterrupted.
I want to ask one question.
I got no discipline, yo.
I want to know one question.
Shit. I let everybody talk. Moment I get to talk, again, cut off. There's a sidebar and all this bullshit.
You start calling niggas porch monkeys. I want to ask one question. I want to ask one question.
It's still my time, though.
It's not your time, my nigga.
Yes, it is still my time.
This ain't even your show, my nigga. Like, this ain't your time. Like, I got a question. Like, you want to participate?
So have me kick rocks then. Have me kick rocks then.
So do you want to participate or you just want to call niggas porch monkeys?
Nah, I'm a fucking man just like you. If you're not going to talk.
All right, so again, like now it gets to the point, like it's almost impossible for us to have any version of a conversation as a group.
He don't even want to have a convetion. He want to say it's his time.
I want my time to answer your question. I just want to get.
No, again, my issue is that we've gotten into the point of where it's just fodder. So I wish a Black was here, so I throw to him. FBA, if you can just answer the question, we'll just stay with the question right now because of we can't like avoid arguing with each other. Like right now, it almost feels like I'm inside like grade school or some shit like that. But like
I don't think anybody went out of their way to offend anybody until this nigga call it niggas porch
again.
monkeys.
I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to speak to anybody's experience, and this is all. I'll give credence to this. I think that we don't look at tether as the derogatory term it is. So like I know I might not even pick up some of the times when it's said. And if somebody feels offended, same way we can't tell somebody else how to feel offended. I'm not even going to like step into the lane of like even like trying to justify either way or. But my thing is that I would prefer us to have a better conversation and let's talk to the points. So like again, if y'all want to just like get into what that just was, which started becoming like really childish and y'all yelling at the same time, I think that that's the worst version of the conversation that we could possibly have.
You just said no ad hominem attacks, and I said all I'm just pointing out that
and I tried to stop it before it happened.
All that I was saying.
No, I get it, but I think that, like I said, right now it's probably best.
Porch monkeys.
Hey, Black, fresh on the scene. Talk to us, brother. Like, how is your perspective? We gonna come back, but like Kofi, to be honest, you were just yelling like back and forth with G and like asking to be kicked off instead of like actually have like y'all aren't having a productive conversation.
I never cut his time. I don't cut nobody's time. When I was supposed to go, Johnny was supposed to go. I said, Johnny, you go. I'm trying to be cordial. I'm trying to be respectful.
Calling niggas porch monkeys.
It's not being reciprocated.
Yeah, bro. That don't even make no sense, bro. You can't gaslight a nigga, bro. You can't piss on my leg and tell me that it's raining. You trying to be cordial, calling a group of black men. What about if I call y'all? Like, why do you even feel comfortable calling other niggas porch monkeys?
Why do you feel comfortable saying something that disrespect me? You're being fucking selfish.
Dude,
if you black, you should know that porch monkey. How's a black man call a black man a porch monkey?
Nobody threw a shot at you.
You don't have to agree with the word. You know what? You can feel personally that word is not offensive, but as used in a derogatory manner.
That's the Caribbean word.
And if you had respect for me and say, you know what, that's bullshit, but to keep things going, let me respect Kofi. That's not your fucking position. The moment I said something that offended you, then you want to get all in your fucking feeling. That's why, and that's how I know you're being disingenuous. That's all that I'm saying. Treat people like how you want to be treated. It's very fucking simple. But if you don't respect me, then you can't get it. That's all that I'm saying. And we had this conversation before. We had this conversation. But it's not.
And you weren't calling niggas porch monkeys. This is all my point.
Because y'all couldn't get it. So once I say that, then
you not helping nobody get nothing by calling niggas porch monkeys. Like that's what I'm saying. You don't care. You don't really care about
my mission
like
was
understanding. No, your mission is not accomplished.
Yes, it is, because you didn't care when I was offended. You only care when you're offended.
So tether is the N-word for non-black. Like help me break this down. Compare tether to porch monkey. This shit didn't even exist until 2020. What two? Like you're talking about.
Tariq made it up. Well, kind of made it up in the derogatory.
And
manner.
you want to adopt language that your colonizers call black people in terms of porch. You want to maintain that rhetoric. That's what you would prefer to do, correct,
brother? What you see, me and you are different.
And clearly,
you refer to your fellow black man as nigga this, nigga that. I don't do that.
You call us porch monkeys, right?
Because a nigga, a porch monkey, a jigaboo, all the other stuff is synonymous. That's what white people call us, to dehumanize us. But one of the things that I don't like about, I
love the N-word, my nigga. Period.
Okay, that's fine.
We're very different.
You're being kind of hypocritical because that's the same
word
that
a very white mindset. You got a very white mindset
when he was whipping your ass.
You got a very white mindset.
But you want to flip it into something positive.
You got a very white mindset.
That's post-traumatic slave syndrome is what you're displaying right there.
Thank you.
I don't call none of y'all niggas unless I don't do that. Unless I'm saying in a hostile manner. If you want to use it as a positive, as something positive, that's fine. But you cannot sit here saying I'm mad at something that the white man made to dehumanize us, and at the same time calling each other niggas. And you have no problem calling people niggas. You sound sick. You mentally sound sick. In my opinion,
would you prefer foreign coon instead of tether? Because that's what it means.
Would you mind domestic house nigga? Like
so now you want to call? So it's like you a walking contradiction. You a walking contradiction. You like you just like to argue with niggas.
See,
yeah, I'm right.
And that's why maybe I need to be arguing with black people instead of niggas. You're right.
Correct.
Damn, that's crazy. Hey, what generation are you? Just out of curiosity.
I'm sorry.
What generation, like Jamaican, are you?
Oh, I'm not Jamaican. I'm from the Caribbean.
Excuse me.
I'm from Guyana.
What generation Caribbean are you?
I don't understand what you mean by generation. You mean by age?
Like, were you born here, or were your parents born here? Or
no, I was born here. I was born in Guyana, and I came here when I was 4.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I was kind of curious, because there's a lot of things that are culturally Black American. It seems like you might not be familiar with. So I was thinking maybe it's because you weren't born here. But I say nigga, my dad say nigga, my granddad probably said nigga. Lord, my son gonna say nigga too.
I grew up.
So I mean, you can't.
That sounds wild. Now I'm be honest. My father's completely FBA, and we ain't say nigga in the house. I'm be honest.
Exactly. But a lot of his friends did.
That's fine, but like,
we got shown videos of black people hanging. That's for sure what happened.
I saw those same videos.
Black people in the 40s and 30s, they never called each other that.
Yes,
that's not true. That's not even true. Like that's not even true.
For real, in the manner that you tell us about
our culture, bro.
Because I'm saying that's not even true. You just don't. You don't even understand. You're saying things that's just not even true.
I know Black Americans that they don't talk to each other. They don't.
Hey fellas, so I allowed y'all to devolve for about a good 5 to 6 minutes just now. That's what y'all wanted. Y'all had at it. I hope that was what it was. Hey Black, talk to us. FBA versus Pan African Revisited. How has your opinion evolved over the course of these conversations?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I gained more of an understanding on what the positive side of the FBA movement stands for. A lot of stuff I agree with. Like I say, I just don't think it's a thing that they have to be separate. I think you can be a Black American and know what you built and know what you deserve from America specifically. And I think you can be Pan-Africanist as well and know that, it's power in numbers, it's power in geographical locations, it's power in just multiplying mindsets. Because although there are a lot of people from other places that not ever been here, you'd be surprised like how many people have the same mindset, are the same wants and needs of freedom, of liberation, of living life, of having fun and stuff. A lot of similarities exist across the border. So I don't think they have to. I think they should, I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Like you can be FBA and you can be a Pan-Africanist at the same time. I don't think you got to be like anti-African to support Black Americans or anti-Black Americans. You know, if you're African or Caribbean or Brazilian or whatever, you know, I think it's bad apples on both sides in every movement. But I think everybody kind of want the same thing everywhere, which is, you know, freedom and, you know, the ability to recognize as a human and a Black man, you know. And Black man, we know what a Black man is. Like, beyond our own succinct culture, a Black man is like the anywhere in the world as well. And we all want the same thing. So coming together, man, finding the best parts of both movements, being able to support each other, and I don't think they have to be separate things. You know, I think you can like tenets from both.
Appreciate it. And do you think that shout out to A Black being the middle ground? Do you think that it has been healthy, a neutral or detrimental? Just this conversation, I guess it's been labeled the diaspora wars.
Yeah, I think, like I say, for me, I can only speak as far as the productivity of the conversation. For me, it's been enlightenment, you know, hearing other thoughts. Iron sharpens iron. Whether you agree or disagree, I think you need to be in a constant state of expression, of articulating your thoughts, having reason for what you say. So that's why I say I can respect and appreciate where other people are coming from, where I don't 100% disagree with anything, but at the same time, like, my mind hasn't been changed about the importance of Africa, the importance of Brazil, the importance of Afro-Mexicans, the importance of the Caribbean, and like how we all are connected in very different ways. But at the same time, you know, I also want my family built here and suffered here and enslaved here. It's like they want over there, wherever they're from as well.
Gotcha. Trey.
Man, I hate that term diaspora war, because how's it a diaspora war when we could care less about what's going on in their homeland? We just care about what's going on in ours. It's more like a diaspora invasion with hostility. Because, like, if we come over here, let's say they were hiding the truth, and we do have native roots. And then we have people coming in from the diaspora talking about we're culture vultures for trying to discover our own history. And then they cloak themselves in blackness, so we bring them in as our friends. And, you know, that I think that's very dangerous. And I thought that when I first realized a lot of this history and I found out that a lot of the stuff that we told was lies, I think my opinion has kind of changed with a lot of these conversations, because when I learned a lot of this information I thought I would share, I didn't think that I would get so much resistance when I'm trying to get people to reconsider the Eurocentric narrative we've been taught. Like, and that makes me think even deeper. Like, when we were trying to get out of captivity, we were probably met with the same type of resistance. Those people that are trying to wake up. That's why all these slave revolutions were brought down from within, because we have people who would rather side with outsiders. They want to greet people who despise us and talk bad about us, call us racial slurs with open arms and put them under the cloak of black. So when you witness this in your face, you still want to defend it. So it's kind of made me just want to, like, give up. I think there's enough people who have the mentality to, like, they get it. But I think when you have conversations, I had a conversation with a homie who I was trying to talk about Kamala's not black, and they wanted to ask me if Kaepernick was black. You know what I mean? So, and I had homies defend Candace Owens. You know,
can we go to like a quick sidebar? But technically, according to what y'all defined as black today, he can't be black, right?
Of course, Kaepernick, he's of black lineage, and he stood up.
No, he's not. He has Caribbean people, parent. Like his dad's Caribbean, and his other parent is white.
So the Stokely Carmichael.
But y'all just said that black was like a very specific like American lineage, or my bad. No, it's not, right? It's just as long as you grew up in America.
I said
you got some like anything from Africa in you.
I said FBA is a lineage, like ADOs and
Black. No, we just had a black. What is black conversation? Where the majority of everybody said that it was outside of Kofi. I think that, and I think maybe A Black kind of was like a little inside the middle, but like Johnny G and you said that it is. Oh, so you don't say that it's
I
primarily
specifically
culturally.
said that ADOS, Black American Freedmen, and FBA,
Mhm.
that is a lineage. So is
Okay.
Kaepernick a part of that lineage? No. But Black is a culture. I also said that anybody on the globe, if you're about Black empowerment, then we welcome you with open arms. But you don't get a pass in that just because you have melanated skin.
What did you say that Black culture was, though? Did you answer that question?
Black culture is when you're Black first and you're about Black empowerment first. That's Black.
Oh, you're actually right. You did say that you could be Black in Africa if you put Black first. You're correct.
Right.
I quote you incorrectly.
Like if you don't go around calling people porch monkeys, and you'll go around calling people any racial slurs, anything like that, then like, because Black, we can't be united.
Let's stay focused.
I mean, we can't be united as Black people because I think if me calling somebody a house Negro or a coon based on what they do that's anti-Black, that's not me making a derogatory slur just because of the color of their skin. But I think people misunderstand that word that means to attach to a culture and try to undermine it. Because in this definition, you are undermining us. So it's just basically me calling you a coon. And so it's like if you get mad at me calling another Black American a coon and feel insulted. Why would you feel insulted if I'm talking about a coon? No, but we don't defend coons. But unfortunately, a lot of people from the diaspora, if you call them a domestic coon, they're like, who are you calling a coon? Bruh, stop cooning.
I think that anybody that you call a coon typically would just say that exact thing. Who are you calling a coon?
But
I guess you
so but I'm saying
it's like a stupid person get mad at you for saying they stupid. Like they still probably gonna get mad.
No, you misunderstanding. If I call you a coon, you're not gonna be mad because you're of the same lineage. Because if you're not being a coon, I'm not talking about you. But when foreigners, if you call somebody, I'm not gonna say it again because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Apparently, I don't want to trigger nobody. But if I call them that for being a foreign coon, people of his lineage will defend him for cooning.
I got you, but I guess what I'm saying is that typically, like, I don't know any group of Black people that accept being called a coon.
But you misunderstood the whole point. You
okay,
don't
my bad.
defend the person. If I call John a coon, are you gonna get mad at me calling John a coon if he does something very coonish? Okay. All right.
So G, I'm gonna answer your question. I'll answer your question. I understand your question. So for me specifically,
you mean Trey, right?
Trey, yeah. Trey. My bad. If you're asking me specifically,
if I call somebody,
I avoid calling Black people coons because I don't think Black people are monoliths. And I think that like you have to be doing like something very intentional and egregious. And I think the coon bar is so low that we use it and we almost throw it out like it's a frisbee. We just be throwing that bitch out. You know what I mean? But
Stephen A. He's not a coon.
Do I think that Stephen A.
What's his name? What's his name? Candace Owens. What's the news commentator? The fat dude that they always clowning.
You probably talking about Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, Jason Whitlock. They don't say coonish stuff. That the Officer Tatum, he don't say nothing. Like these people that specifically say things that undermine Black people and talk bad about Black people all day. You want to defend them.
I don't defend Jason Whitlock or Officer Tatum.
But if I call them a coon, that's the equivalent of me calling a person that behaves that way a tether, and then somebody from that group getting mad at me.
Listen, I understand why you would call them a coon because you disagree with like whatever statement they're saying.
No, it's not because I disagree with them, bro. It's because they say something bad about their own people. It's basically calling them a sellout. It's not a disagree with them.
I understand. I also think that the terms like every Democrat that I know that doesn't like Republicans calls Black Republicans sellouts. I don't personally think that all Black Republicans are sellouts. Like the word sellout is used very loosely. That's my only point.
But sometimes it is accurate though, right?
Yeah, there are people that coon. My only point is that I don't necessarily sellouts too. Right. I specifically don't use the word like I try and stay away from unless I know it's like intentionally egregious and I believe it specifically. And that's where like it's your own liberty to use it. But if you're asking me the question, I stay away from like the coon and things like that for specifically if it's something I disagree with and I don't know their exact intent. Because it might be somebody that thinks differently to me. If I think that you have like ill intent, where I don't like like whoever we want to say like has ill intent. Let's say Jason Whitlock. Like we feel that he, like, if I feel that he is intentionally doing this shit to, like, you know, rile up the white base and get supporters from white Fox News and not or Fox Sports, and that's lining his pockets, and he's saying talking points, then yes, that's coonish behavior. But I don't rattle off as much as like most people the word coon or sellout, because it's just usually like a thing to make sure that black people are a monolith.
I got you. That's why I've kind of changed my stance on a lot of things, because I didn't realize how like we allow people to say whatever about. I think that's why we're so disrespected, is because we don't demand respect. Somebody can say whatever about us, and then we're gonna get mad at somebody for calling them out, and then call it what they call it. We don't want to have monolithic thought, even though that they're saying stuff. Somebody can get out there and say we don't need reparations, and you'd be like, well, we can have open thought. We're not a monolith. So it's like, if we can't get on one
so you do believe that black people should have like a very specific monolithic thought,
bro? If you're black and you're anti-reparations and you're speaking against that, then bro, you should be ostracized.
Cool. So now let's move past reparations. Black people should have monolithic thought.
Bro, yeah, if you want to talk about this from police brutality, I saw another show where somebody mentioned something about the sister that got shot recently by the police officer, Sonia Massey. And they were talking about, oh, she might have been throwing the water on him. It's like, as a black person saying that.
You said
like,
on our show?
I think somebody said that towards the end. And it's like, bro, I think it was, I don't want to say his name because he ain't here to defend himself. But you know what I'm saying? But we'll see on the show this coming up Sunday. But
you pull it up?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pull up. Yeah, I'm most likely gonna pull up.
Hey, y'all heard it first.
But when people say stuff like that, bro, and then other people sit by and defend it, or when people talk about Huey Newton might have been a crackhead, or they push COINTELPRO propaganda about Martin Luther King, they recite that and believe it. It makes you kind of just give up on probably about 2/3 of black people, because we don't even have the faculties to defend ourselves. No other group allows you to come among them and disrespect them. And then other people, like Indians, don't let you talk bad about the Indian collective, and then they come and defend you. And they'll talk about, no, we can't have freedom of thought. Like, no other group allows you to talk bad about, like, even look at the feminist movement. Like the white women, they don't say white men are so bad. They say men are bad. But then in our movement, a lot of our sisters talk about black men. Everyone talks about fatherlessness as a group, but black people are the only one that push things out and talk bad about themselves. And when other people say things about them that aren't true, they just say freedom of thought. You know what I mean? So
I got you. I think that I could probably run down every example you gave and then give like the opposing version of it.
Right.
For sure. I think
George
that there's
fentanyl. My bad.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the fact that there's infighting in the LGBTQ community. There's literally like they have like words for like very specific versions of like gay women that don't believe in, like, let's say trans rights or something like that. Infighting happens inside almost every group. Same way if you want to talk about feminists and white women and their disdain for white patriarchy. Like if you go on any college campus, especially at PWI, that they specify the word white.
I've never heard that before, bro.
I guess okay.
It's like I've never heard of black people who don't call themselves black. They call themselves by their tribe, like you said earlier. I've never heard of these examples, bro.
I said that I didn't say that they call themselves by the tribe.
You said black, yeah.
No, I got you. Again, I understand it. Like, you know, like your thing is
like, why can't we defend black? We can't defend each other at all, bro.
I believe we should defend black people for sure. I believe that. Who has not answered? G, talk to us. FBA versus Pan Africanism Revisited. Has your opinion evolved or not?
Yo, I gotta say, before we started doing this, I never even heard the word tether. I never even heard of it before we started doing this show. So it's like the fact that it's such a fiery term is news to me. I had never even heard this word used outside of this context of doing these shows. And then what was interesting to me was that like it took a couple episodes where like I had to ask y'all like, yo, what the fuck is a tether? And it derives from one of them Jordan Peele movies. I'm like,
Us.
oh, okay. Like I went back and watched Us because of this show. Cause I'm like, what the fuck do niggas mean by tether? And then all of a sudden I start seeing tethers. I'm like, damn, like, why is it that
Oh, here we go.
no, because like, I'm just saying, like I start hearing how people define it, and then I start seeing people who are from the definition of what I hear, like literally being characters, like of what this word means. And so now I'm like, okay, I had never even known that this was a term, but now I'm seeing this hostility towards the ADOS FBA community for one to delineate and this vitriol. Is like, why are they so angry? Like, I really got to understand.
So I guess if I was to give you like I guess his best good faith pushback as I could.
Of course,
right?
G made it all worth it, bro. Thank you. That really hit, bro.
It's crazy how G and FBA on the same team today.
Oh yeah. No, they turned.
Nah, this nigga Trey was trying to. This nigga Trey was on some other shit early. He tried to get me out of the paint earlier, but we can we can move on from that. We can move on from that.
We ended up on the same team though. I like that.
Let me see if I can remember my actual pushback. Oh, not well. I guess if I'm to play devil's advocate, and let's just say the term like and you're using the term tether, right?
Because that's the term we talking about at the crux of it. Like,
right. And you're saying that I'm seeing this group of people act inside this specific way. So fuck it. I feel like it even makes more sense to call them that. Like that almost mirrors language that I've heard other groups say about like using the N-word when like inside like out of context ways.
I just feel I wildly disagree. Like
okay.
I said,
so like you don't think that poor like I'm gonna just give like
what
like
has
a great
suffered being called a tether? Like what nigga got restricted?
I think you completely understood what I was saying. I think that poor whites inside like fucking back road North Carolina and like their justification for using the word nigga ends up being, you know, I seen I seen some niggas over there at whatever acting a very specific way, and it justified me saying this derogatory term.
I would disagree because white folks were calling niggas regardless of how they acted. You could be a high class nigga, an upstanding family man type of nigga, and a white man would try to like knock you down based off of how you look. So that's
I get that. I'm talking about modern day justification for saying the word nigga.
Modern day justification, I don't agree with. Their modern day justification is the fact where you use it in your songs, you say it to each other, and even
I've seen some of them acting ignorant, like that whole thing. They do that, like that is a justification for using the derogatory term.
Even comparing the two words, just in terms of historical context, is no comparison. Like,
well, I wasn't trying to use it inside like a historical context. More so, the idea of justifying derogatory terminology based off of like, I guess the actions of like a few.
So let me make a difference.
Okay.
If you are not black and you call someone a nigger and kill them, you can be charged with a hate crime. You understand like the context in which that word carries? It's like for a hate crime to be established, there has to be certain precedent set. I don't know the precedent for tether is what I'm saying here.
I think that you're talking about, like, I guess you're taking it further than what I'm saying. I'm just speaking inside the idea of like derogatory terminology, but I got you.
That's what I'm saying. Like jokes and the N-word, I think is versus like, you know, it's like there's like everybody's.
Oh my bad. Maybe if I use like the word coon or like something like a different version.
That's what I'm saying. I
didn't want to necessarily get caught up in semantics. More so like describing the concept. But
I see it like how Trey said. It's like another version of a coon, and but it speaks to coons who aren't from America. And it's like, if we can call Black Americans coons and nobody starts tripping about how derogatory it is, then why can't Black people call these other folks tethers without it being really received the same way? Like, you
Black
call a
people
black
don't
nigga
trip out about being called coon.
no, let me tell you what they don't do. They don't say you fucking porch monkey. They don't do that. Like they might say, nigga, man, who the fuck you calling a coon? They might do that, but their instinct isn't to look at you and be like, you're a porch monkey. Like this is what I'm saying. This is the difference. So it's like I just never knew there was such a Bloods versus Crips as it relates to this word tether. Like I just didn't know it was so inflammatory, derogatory of a word. When we use these same derogatory words towards other Blacks, they don't care. It's only that word that carries some weight. Like
okay.
I'm just going by what he said. This nigga said, because I like to use the word nigga, I sound a certain way, but he never addressed that till that moment when he's like, but because the word tether said, there's such a clear line drawn, but that clear line isn't drawn when you call other niggas coons, when you call other niggas bitches, when you call other niggas whatever the case. Like it's like, we shouldn't do that. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't know that word meant carry so much weight.
Hey, Black, bring us back to the middle. Talk to us.
Damn, that's some good points to that, man. Can I throw this on, please, man? Damn, I got you.
No, bring us back to the middle. I feel like we've derailed. What is your perspective on the current conversation?
I'm gonna bite my tongue.
Trey don't know what the middle is.
No, I ain't talking about Trey. I know Trey don't know what the middle is. I'm trying to move the conversation forward in a second. I feel like Black, he might go off the rails also.
So I kind of got lost in the convo. What point everybody was making. So
got you. Johnny, bring us home.
I can't get 3 seconds, bro. Like,
I know where you're going, Trey.
I'm not gonna get hot with it, bro. I promise I won't be hot, bro. I promise.
Let him go. Let him go.
Come on. I think the reason I was saying I was about to go. I was saying I think the reason that the word hit so hard, G, is because if you a heavy Pan Africanism, it points out your otherness to where they want to push for unity. Let's say everything comes from the motherland, everything. And so it kind of goes to the heart of the FBA movement, because when you call them that, not only are you calling them a coon, you're also pointing out like they not like us. So that shit together is like throwing holy water on the demon type shit. That shit stings. You know what I mean? And the last thing, I think comparing tether to the word tether to the N-word is like when Kamala Harris said that ICE was like the KKK. And that's something that you only say when you're not from around here. You know what I mean? So this is how that back to the previous topic with Kamala Harris. If you didn't know that she said that. Oh, she also tried to make the Freedmen's Bank into something that's for all minorities. So all the money that was stolen from Black Americans, she brought it back and said it's for illegals and all that other stuff too. So anyway, back to the Kamala. That's all I had to say. That wasn't that crazy, was it?
It was what I expected it to be. But no, I guess again, like I said, maybe there was a person in the chat that kind of summarized it fairly simply. I think that if you call anybody a derogatory term, they're going to respond inside like a negative fashion. Same way when the term porch monkey was thrown out, it was a explosion, right? Same difference when coon is thrown out to a lot of like Black conservatives. There's an explosion. No matter what the word, and that's why I didn't necessarily want to get like caught up inside the syntax of like the exact word. So yes, if I use the word nigga and it's way more loaded, as we know, then like I can just I'd rather replace it. But that was more so my point. Is that typically people are triggered by derogatory words, as though the entire panel got triggered off of like 2 different words just now. It was almost like
you're comparing them again.
Like, so you can't compare things at the base level of derogatory.
No, man, because you're minimizing.
Like if somebody, all right, got you. Okay,
like I say,
then
don't know no middle ground. But
yeah,
I'll say this,
you.
like, I agree with Trey though. Like we was about to go at it earlier, but like that's my dog. But the importance of the FBA is definitely repeat the question again before I just go crazy. What do you want me where? Because I kind of got lost in what they were saying too. Like I don't know if I'm supposed
Johnny
to talk
just
about.
came.
I don't
Johnny
know if I'm
came
supposed to
in
talk
just
about
just
tethers or like or
we
whatever.
kind of got into a
I don't know what.
conversation about the idea of derogatory and derogatory terms and its usage and people being triggered. That was more so where it was, but it's kind of time to kind of like, you know, navigate
Hey,
away from that.
hey, I think anything could be taken. If you're trying to disrespect somebody, you can use a lot of words to disrespect, and it's all about context as well. I could say a lot of
Mhm.
words to disrespect you right now. It ain't got to be that
And
specific
it would
word,
trigger you
or it
and
ain't
make
got
you
to
feel
be
away.
like it's about intent and context. So I think that was the issue with. I think there was a misunderstanding of intent and context in one, and I think there was a intent and context, yeah, on one or the other. But it's all semantics, and we can move past it.
All right, gotcha. So as we attempt to try and move forward inside the conversation, we have attempted to start the conversation, and I'm sure we'll start steamrolling inside the next season of like the current state of politics in America. We have an election coming up for president, as well as a lot of different seats and offices. But we've had a Biden versus Trump conversation. We've had a Trump, is he good for black people conversation, and we have had a Kamala Harris versus Trump conversation. Or we've really just had a Kamala Harris conversation in general, in our thoughts on her. So we'll start off here and then we'll try and like, evolve our way through the conversation. But on both sides of the coin, it seems that identity politics has become like a major thing. We've had Kamala, she had her Atlanta rally, where some people said she was talking with a black scent. She made sure that she quoted a couple, like native black sayings per se. But then you also had Trump at the black journalist conference where, like he was differentiating. I thought she was black, not Asian, or Asian, not black. He spoke again, like within the realms of identity politics. And I'll ask y'all this leading question first, with all that as a backdrop. Is identity politics in America first just a way of life? And then we'll break it down into, just as we start going black people. Is this like a specific tool used for black people? We can go even further into talking about how even our music and music artists are used as like tools within inside that realm. But starting off as broad as, is identity politics the American way? A Black, talk to us.
I mean, yeah, I think definitely we talked about the term black. I mean, America is really kind of built off divisions, titles, classifications, class in general. So who you identify with becomes important, especially during campaign season. You see everybody kind of fall back to what they are, because you usually benefiting based on group economics, what the group can command. So when you're dealing in election season, all of a sudden it's like, all right, I'm black, I'm Indian, I'm Asian, I'm this, I'm Mexican, I'm Latino, I'm Hispanic, I'm all these different terms, because it's based on now what can I ask for, what can I command. It becomes an issue with the candidates, and it's like, who have you always identified as? And a lot of politicians historically, they want to claim or denounce, what benefits or what hurts them. So I think that starts to play into their authenticity, and you want to know, like, well, who are you? Because now you need me. So it seems like you're more of this, but when you needed them, you was more of that. And you can be both. There's nothing wrong with being black and Indian. There's nothing wrong with having Jamaican parents and things like that. It's like when you haven't identified with one particular side for the majority of your career, now all of a sudden you listen to Tupac, you smoke weed. Now we hear about your HBCU a lot more. You've been there since the 80s, but it wasn't a big deal until you ran for VP. You know, now we got Amber Rose and her identity crisis going on with the Republican side. So it's definitely important here because the majority of the voters are uneducated. So it becomes a popularity contest. It becomes a who can make me feel the most emotional in good or bad way, and it becomes who you are, not what you can do, not what you have done. Who are you? You know, and all right, now you're a woman. Now Democrats can identify what a woman is. Now you're black. You know, so it's definitely important, and that's why the divisions come back very starkly during election time because most people don't care about nothing for real. They just like, all right, who are you? How are you gonna make me feel? That's the majority of the voting block.
Got you.
Hey, can I hop in there real quick?
Go ahead. We'll go Johnny. We'll go Kofi, Trade, and G.
And like I definitely think identity politics is like the American way because let's just step back and take it outside of us right quick. Why was Trump so successful? He used the same tactics that Democrats have used against black people for years. He just used it against another demographic, and it was wildly successful. It was wildly successful for him. And honestly, so I think definitely identity politics is something that's been the American way. It's been like a secret game Democrats have been playing for years. Once the Republicans started doing it, shit get nasty, and it kind of made me see the other side for what it was. So I definitely think identity politics is something that's been the American way. I think it's something one side has used very effectively. I think the historically have used it more effectively. I think the other side's catching up, and you kind of get to see the other side for what it is truly in today's political world.
Gotcha. Kofi.
What's the question?
Is identity politics the American way?
I mean, yeah, it always is. Ever since, well, I'm going to disagree, but educated people will know that during this country was being built, everyone had a place where they came from. That's when, racism was created around the Victorian era, but that transferred over here into the Americas. So whoever wasn't white and was of the subjugation of the 13 colonies, and black people from Africa, I'll say it again, black people from Africa, they were stripped of their name and everything. And no matter who you are or what you are, as long as you were phenotypically African, you were always under the heel of white supremacy. So identity politics I agree, identity politics was always the American way. All the way, because it had who's on top, who's in the middle, and who are the servants. And if anyone gets out of place, that system is going to put them right back in the position that they were. So black people being Africans, they weren't treated different from slavery or up to now. No matter what the fuck you call yourself, you were always treated like that African that came off the boat. And if you weren't treated like that African that was off the boat, then I don't know what the fuck you are. And if you're not an African, a black African that came off the boat, then in my view, and sensible people will say, you shouldn't be begging not begging, you shouldn't be asking for reparations because you need reparations, but you do need reparations for what? Your African fucking ancestors. If you're not African, shut the fuck about reparations, because you can't have it both ways. Because it's to repair what has happened to your African ancestors that came on this shore and their descendants. It has nothing to do with just, their descendants. It's the wrong started when those Africans came off that boat and came on here. And if you're a Native American, that's a separate thing. So to answer your question, identity politics is the American way. I'll pass the mic.
Trey.
Man, all that African shit really threw me off, man. I'll take that as an insult, man. So I ask you refrain from calling me an African. I mean, call me a Black American freeman, or something along those lines, bro. Because I come from Native American roots, and I've been said that multiple times, bro. But back to what we were saying, identity politics has been like the core of global
I wasn't
politics.
talking to you, Trey. I wasn't talking to you. I know I'm cutting you up. I
You're
wasn't
talking about Black Americans, bro. You keep talking as Africans. Like we African Americans started in the '80s by Jesse Jackson. That's when he started calling us African Americans. Now that we have power to take
your genetics
control,
will say something different, though. Your genetics.
I got
will say
you, bro.
different.
But I think a lot of us, if we're trying to identify ourselves in our own homeland, then I think you should have enough respect for us not to like immigrate over here and then tell us how to identify ourselves, bro. Like even if we are African, if we don't want to be called that, I'm not going to go to Guyana and tell them how to label themselves, bro. You just like going on and on, just like trying to force it, bro. Like if I don't want to be called,
you need to have enough
here,
respect. You need to have enough respect for history and intelligence, and you're not displaying that right now because history tells you that you are African. Your genetics tell you that you are African. You cannot cite one famous, well-respected African-American scholar that will peddle the message that you're peddling right now. You can't have enough intelligence, do a little bit more research to back up what you're saying. Because like I said before, y'all just displaying your feelings, right? I would like to know what professor, I can name a couple of African-American professors, right? Your James Smalls, your Asa Hilliard, your Dr. Henry Clark, your Dr. Jeffries, all do African studies and African American studies. Dr. Carruthers, what you guys are talking about is nuance. It's online hashtag stuff. You have to back up what you're saying. I respect your feelings, but I have more respect for the truth. And what what our ancestors and respected people in the community that are experts that dedicate their whole lives to studying African American history. And you guys cannot cite one person, one source, credible source. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to disrespect you or any of the panel, but I take it as
disrespect, bro.
People.
I take it as disrespect. And if my people didn't call themselves Africans generations ago, and for you to come over here, immigrate over here, and then
that's
tell them
true.
they didn't. I'm telling you,
immigrated over here too.
You know better than my ancestors over here, bro.
That's what I'm asking you. What did you call
disrespect, bro?
No, so what did you call yourself? So
Cherokee.
Help me help you.
Cherokee, Seminole, Mayan.
No, what the fuck?
Mayan, yes.
Cherokee. So let's break this down.
Cherokee, hey, hold on, fellas. Hey, Trey, because we still got to get through everybody on this question.
I just asked
Trey,
finish your. If you're not gonna show me my respect, then I'll continue with the answer. I just asked for the respect. It's not going to be given, and that's why Pan Africanism is dead. But
that's why FBA is dead. Because
okay, no, we just beginning. We just beginning, bro.
And cult is a cult.
You know about us.
All your talking points is Tariq Nasheed.
You got a whole flag behind you, bro, and you tell you we ain't real. What's that flag behind you?
Because that's because the definition of what a tether is. Because y'all like to call people tether. That's what a tether is. If you want to,
I got you, man. And
look
again,
it up.
That's what I got
so
you,
bro. Just let's answer the question. Don't mention me. Just answer the question.
I just told you how I don't want to be addressed, bro. But if you don't have enough respect,
we don't care about how people's feelings here. That's evident.
Hey, fellas, if we can't get back to the question, I'm gonna just go to somebody else.
I got you, man. I mean, and I understand Q. I just asked him not to address me that way or talk about it. I told him, I prefer not to. But if we're gonna go and we can't do that, then I
wasn't talking about.
Hey, fellas. All right.
Kofi said no. Kofi said no. All right, fine. So identity politics has been the core of global politics since the beginning, like when they first, like in the 1400s and the Reconquista, when they put all the black people out of Europe, pushed them into Portugal and picked those people and brought them to America. And then the Pope, declared that all black people can be slaves. And then they came to America and then found the black people here and they called it Negro land and everything like that and enslaved them. And then with the Irish people, they made them adopt white culture in order to get any power. So white is basically identity politics is pretty much synonymous with white supremacy. And for black people, we finally got a taste of that with the Obama election, because that was the first time we got to vote for somebody who was black. And I think that was used against us because he was somebody that was not really one who would identify with us. But they put us out there because they know that we were like, oh, it's finally our turn. But it was really a trick. And I think they're really doing that. They're attempting to repeat that same thing with Kamala Harris. And I think way more of us are onto it this time than with Obama. That's for sure. But I don't know if I'm not convinced it's the majority or not. But I think that we need to be aware that we need to look at policy instead of identity politics. And if we do that, we may be the first people in America to do that. But honestly, no, because they voted for Barack Obama because he got a lot of white people to vote for him. So I'm not sure if I'm not sure how that played into that election. Because who was he running against? McCain?
But even within that, you still kind of have like the poor and the white. G, hop in, talk to us.
It's definitely a part of the fabric of the culture, and identity extends past race. It also has to do with age, and that's how Obama won the election. It was a youth movement. It was those millennials who that was like their first time voting was for Obama, like that generation. And what you see today is the Democratic Party running back the same playbook. Hence why she chose the VP candidate from Minnesota versus the dude from Pennsylvania, because this dude Walz is like wildly progressive compared to, say, the Shapiro dude. And so when you talk about identity politics, it's not just about how you look, it's also about your religion, your age. And I think today, even more gender, especially. And I think today that's why Kamala is so powerful, because she checks multiple boxes. She can be Black. She can be South Asian. She is a woman. She is American. And it's like she checks all these boxes that cross the spectrum. And I think that's intentional. And it's also intentional that she chose a like purebred Midwestern, good old white man who is a teacher, who is a football coach, who honestly presents very well from like a politician standpoint. He sounds like a regular dude. And so the idea that identity politics is not a part of this, like, I don't know how anybody could think that all of this has to do with identity politics. And they know that because the Democratic Party knows they're going to get 95% of the Black female identity. And they're trying their best to not let Black males slip through the cracks and then end up voting elsewhere, which could potentially lose them the election. So all of this is broken down by identity.
Gotcha. Before anybody else hops in, really quickly, we do have one person in the back end, but it says your device is not connected. We are about to start the call-in section as we continue to evolve the conversation. We're going to try and squeeze a couple in, but again, we try and keep the conversation within 3 hours. Is about 27 seconds left. 27 minutes left in general. But call-ins, the link has been dropped. Talk to us, but whoever wants to hop back in.
Can I go?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't understand what G meant. Like it was like, I mean, politically it was smart. I don't think Kamala's Indian mother and Jamaican father was like, we're gonna give birth to her because she will be the perfect candidate. She would be the perfect candidate because yes, I do agree with G. She does check all those boxes. Versus the Republicans is a very narrow road. You have to be white and you have to be a man and you have to be a white straight man. That's pretty much the description for Republicans and a Christian.
So you do or don't agree? I'm trying to make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying you do or don't agree?
No, I agree with you when it comes on the Democratic ticket, because the Democratic ticket is supposed to be, they like to say, it's supposed to be representation of America, versus the Republican side, it's supposed to be, they're more conservative, it's supposed to be a straight white Christian man. So that's what's on their ticket. They don't entertain that. Even when Vivek Ramaswamy was winning, right? You had Ann Coulter, right? Obviously a typical Republican racist. She was like, I love your policies, I saw the debate and everything, but I can't vote for you because you're an Indian. And then his wife went over there, was doing on the campaign thing, meeting Middle America, and was like, "Hey, wow, I like your policies, like what you're saying, but you're Hindu. What is that? You're a goddamn Hindu." So it's like, why? Because the Republican Party is bred for white, straight Christian males, and you have to fall in line, versus the Democratic Party. So you're going to have more people going on the Democratic ticket because they see people in their party in them, versus, hey, I'm an Asian, let's say I'm a black man or a Hispanic man, and if I'm a black man, they're the same. Black people are violent, and we're inherently violent, and we're not smart, and all this other stuff. I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of a group that will respect me as a person. So that's why that political dichotomy is the way that it is.
Gotcha. So I'm a land with this. Everybody try and keep your comments under 2 minutes, then we'll bring in our first call in. Is voting Trump off code?
Hell no.
Let's start with G, and we'll just go around the horn. Try and keep it under 2 minutes.
Man, I keep it precise. I gotta be honest. I don't see how you can be pro black people and like be a avid Trump supporter or show your support for voting for him. Like I feel like if you are voting for Trump, then you are also voting for an endorsement that is not favorable to our community, in my opinion. So I feel like, again, that doesn't mean I don't think you should vote for the other party per se, but I just don't see how it becomes so black and white and then a bunch of black folks lean to Trump. Like at the end of the day, I do think Trump is a elitist racist who doesn't care about black people and will say anything he needs to get a vote. That's what I believe about Trump. So I struggle talking to other folks that look like me who are so easily to adopt. Like, man, I'll vote for Trump, but then we'll be so anti the other side when I see him as like 2 of the same thing. So yeah, I don't see how voting for Trump is on code any more than voting for whoever's on the Democratic Party. Like I think both are off code, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Can I get it?
So voting is off code.
We're going around the horn. Just use your 2 minutes how you want to.
Yeah.
Hey, Black.
I think the code just depends on what your code is. I mean, what is the black code today? I feel like you voting, you exercising your potential choice or whatever we claim people fought for us to have this choice. So, I mean, that's a win in itself, no matter who you choose. But it all comes down to what your interests are. I feel like there isn't one party that has our best interests at heart. So to vote as a block or to vote all one side or all blue or all red, it don't make sense. We're not all the same. We don't all have the same goals and values that we want. So it's not one black code. It's what's your black interest, So like G said, neither one of them would be right, but it has to come down to like what you feel, who you like the best, who you feel you can get more out of. I think they both are racist, classist, and all of that. I think Kamala can be that as well, but I prefer mine in my face. I prefer to see it coming. I think Trump know what you get with him. With the Democrats, I feel like people get lulled back into comfort, not paying attention to policy, to politics, to what's going on in the world because they feel safe just because the Democrat is in office. And I think with that mentality, they end up doing the most damage versus like you can see it coming with the Republicans. You know what they are, but you can, that don't mean you can't get nothing from them at the same time.
Gotcha. Trey, talk to us.
Man, I think if you are concerned about Trump's rhetoric and you vote for, I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting against Kamala Harris because what her plan is to do is to give amnesty to like 40 million illegal immigrants And then the majority of the sanctuary cities, and those sanctuary cities, 75%, it's 75% of the black population. So they're bringing them there, they're giving them food and credit cards, they're housing them, educating them, and then she's using the Black Freedmen Bank and then giving it those resources to the immigrants that just came over here. And she said she's not going to do anything just for black people. She came over here mocking us, like making us think we're stupid, like bringing Megan Thee Stallion here to twerk, making black women look that way. So I feel very disrespected by Kamala Harris, and I'm concerned that with her policies, it will be very bad for the black community. So am I a big Trump fan? Am I waving the Trump flag and all that? No. But when I look at what Trump's policy is, where he was freeing some people, he had the One Step Act. He talked about some specific policies for black people, where Kamala hasn't done that at all. It's like, if I have to pick, I'm picking Trump. Am I going to go campaign for Trump? No, but I feel like if Kamala wins, that's going to be very devastating to the black community. So to call that off code when I'm voting with my community's interests, I think you only do that if you let the fear tactics get to you. And I think we need to move beyond that.
Gotcha. Kofi.
I do understand. I do realize, like, I'm not sure what people's bubbles are and things like that. And I know depending on what state you are, you get different news. I was in Philly, I was getting weird news. You're in Florida, I get even more crazier news. So if you don't go outside your bubble, I can understand how some people hold certain things, certain truths. But if someone that's well informed, or just a little bit of what Trump represents, right? And if you're an upstanding, respectable black person, you're just a sellout. I'm sorry. If we know the simple code of being on black code is not letting anybody or anyone internally, externally disrespect black people as a whole, and don't undermine us in any way. Trump checks all those boxes. So if we know the little bit of what Trump does, like him and his father, Fred Trump, here in New York, wasn't renting to black people. The Central Park Five, right? Central Park Five, they were saying, hey, look, they've been exonerated through DNA evidence and the person that came forward with the crime. No, New York does have the death penalty, but I still want them niggas to fry. This is what he was saying when he was in office, right? Black Lives Matter was protesting. He's like, can we just shoot him in the leg? But January 6th, those are just peaceful people. In Charlottesville, you have black people and white people in solidarity want to take the Confederate statue down, right? It was a white supremacist symbol.
Look at black folks coming together. Me and Kofi on the same page. Keep talking, my brother.
Damn, that should make you concerned.
Nigga, you shout out the Proud Boys.
Let them go. Hey, let them go.
Hey, listen. There's 20 seconds left. Finish up. Hey, come on. He got. Let me pause it. You got 20 seconds left, Kofi. Go ahead.
I remember when Andrew Gillum was running against Ron DeSantis. He's like, "Oh, don't you call me racist?" He's okay. I'm not calling you racist, but all the white supremacists are calling you racist because you're endorsed by all white supremacists. Same thing with Donald Trump. So I can't see how a self-respecting black person can know an iota of that, especially he's a rapist and he's a pedophile. He's on the Epstein list. How a black, upstanding, respectable, intelligent black person that love black people, or just...
That's the time. Johnny.
I got this.
Yeah.
I think it's no more off code or on code than it would be voting for a person like Joe Biden, knowing what he did with the 1994 crime bill.
Thank you.
Hey, hold up, Trey. You ain't gonna like this one. But is it the best option for black people? Trey, you would say no, because guess who also voting for Trump? Candace Owens. So if she's voting for him, how can he have your best interest?
So roll with the LGBTQ community.
Is that all you care about as a black person? Did you hear what he said?
I mean, it's one or the other.
Hey, Trey, it's my 2 minutes.
One issue voter.
Hey, Tommy,
keep going, Johnny. Keep going, Johnny.
This is my 2 minutes. I ain't say nothing in y'all's 2 minutes. But Trey, like you say,
you keep asking him questions. Just talk, Johnny.
You heard what he said about Kaepernick. He don't got black people's best interest. My appeal is, while we still have time, we know neither one of the sides have our interests as black people. Why are we even arguing about this and not trying to do something on our own, not trying to go third party, not trying to get our own lobbyists in the Senate and Congress and do our own thing as black people? Why are we arguing left, right, all this bullshit when we know neither one of the sides really care about it? All they care about is the dollar. Why don't we try to bring our dollar together get some money in Congress, and then really see who want to pay the most to get our vote.
40 seconds.
I don't think either one of them going like that. I think, I've been a big advocate of third party for a while. I think that'd be the big fuck you to the whole system, is third party. And that's where I'm at. I don't even need the rest of it. I'm good.
All right, got you. So I'm gonna start bringing up guests again. It's 2 minutes. If y'all want to continue this conversation later, To Be Fair Show, we will be broadcasting Saturday at 8:00. Tap in with us, talk to us. We'll make sure that we kind of circle back to the same conversation, but I'm gonna give y'all 2 minutes. So I know you wanted 7. I seen the chat, but I can't give you 7. We're running low on time.
Right,
talk to us. You got 2 minutes. I'm starting the clock now. Go.
Thank you for having me, everybody. All right, simple, straight and to the point. The problem with the notions of the United States of blackness is too narrow, too limited. Because on the Western Hemisphere, and I'm delineating on Western Hemisphere, from Canada to Argentina and the Caribbean.
This. It sounds like you started in the middle. Start over again, because it sounds like you were in the middle of a sentence.
Dude, coffee.
All right. He on your team, Kofi.
I'm sorry.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
Can I have those 2 minutes back?
Go ahead.
Please?
Go ahead.
Right. I'll start again. The notion of blackness or Afro-descendancy in the Western Hemisphere, specifically from the United States, is too narrow and too limited. Matter of fact, the majority of slaves were deposited in Latin America and Caribbean. The majority of African descendants of slavery are located in the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, and the South American region. Matter of fact is that a lot of them, like myself, are either mixed with indigenous or mixed with European. Not all that population, because most of them maintain monoparental, meaning 2 parents that were both descendants of slavery. Therefore, that blackness that appears there. On that aspect, when you call somebody tether, the definition of Webster, as well as the definition of Oxford, implies that there's a connection. You are admitting that Caribbeans and Latin Americans are specifically connected to that reality of slavery. That does not mean we do not recognize the differences or the particular realities that are happening on each of our regions, or that we ignore the fact that the United States was one of the last 3 countries here in the Western Hemisphere to abolish slavery. And they had to go to a civil war because the other 2 countries, Cuba had not become independent, and Brazil had become independent by 1825, and took 60 years to abolish slavery. And they actually abolished it in the Constitution in 1825, but there's a history right there why it lasted 60 years.
35 seconds.
That being said, the problem with those visions of the United States saying the only valid Black American is the one born in the United States and current U.S. citizen is a farce, because it erases the blackness that is in this Western Hemisphere. Yes, there's a difference. An African that travels to United States as a migrant is not the same as the Afro descendants that were here. There's a historical context that needs to be put in place. And the problem is the nuances that have been spoken here and many other parts has been lacking, and we need to go into depth into more, because the U.S. gringo mindset erases the other experiences, and that notion.
Gotcha.
We in the United States.
Yeah, but I say don't mean to cut you off. Want to make sure we bring up as many as possible. So Saturday, 8 o'clock. We Eastern Standard Time. Talk to us. Call back in. Or just hang around for the after show, and we'll chop it up.
I'll hang out for the after.
Because it's the United States.
Kamu.
That's my dog right there.
2 minutes. Talk to us. We got about like three others in the back end. Got to make. Go ahead. Clock
Let me
running.
start with black. Let me start to deal with the black issue. At any point in history that African people came into contact with non-Africans, we saw they called us black. Whether they used a different language or not, it doesn't matter. We were referred to as black. Negro in and of itself is black. Let's lay that to rest. I do understand the American, brothers and sisters, when they are, trying to call for people to respect them. We have a similar issue in South Africa. I mean, just recently, this week, there was a fight between South Africans and the rest of the continent, because there was a Nigerian sister who was running for Miss South Africa, and my people felt like she shouldn't be part of the pageant because she wasn't born here. It's a legitimate concern. At the end of the day, man, it even went to a government level. The Department of Home Affairs did
40 seconds.
research, and they found out that the sister was indeed not born here, and they committed fraud, fraud papers and everything else. So at the end of the day, it's all about respect. People want to be respected, but we should be careful as to how we communicate it with each other. Throwing out, unnecessary terms and everything else doesn't help the conversation.
Gotcha. Appreciate you, Kofi. Again, if you want to stick around. Consistent contributor. He had 15 seconds left. Appreciate you, brother. We're bringing up M. M, you got 2 minutes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I just want to say first and foremost, shout out to the panel. I discovered your guys' channel a while back, and I like the conversations that you have. So big up to everybody on the panel.
Appreciate it.
I just want to go back to one of the topics at hand, FBA versus Pan Africanism. I think FBA as a group is very divisive in the sense where I can keep it very simple. United we stand, divided we fall. There's no pathway you can go from 2024 onward where if Black people collectively are not pushing on one accord, obviously we're not living in a utopia, but if we can't get together on major issues, it doesn't matter if you identify as American, FBA, Jamaican, etc., etc. If we're not on one accord, there's going to be a future where, again, people actively are looking to destroy us. So my thing is, we just have to get together. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but we have to find common ground and look for solutions and not basically things that divide us.
Gotcha. Appreciate you, M.
Thank you.
Again, same invite. Stick around if you like. But yeah, we got about 8 minutes left. We got a couple more left. Quincy, talk to us. And then we got Adolph's FBA.
All right, real quick. 3 things, man. One, the moment that Black people in mass voted for Joe Biden by the millions, all that off-code talk is out the window. They voted for Jim Crow, drove mass incarceration, Joe Biden. So nobody could say anything about anybody voting for Trump because everybody been out cold vote for crackers this whole time. So that is what it is. The second thing is everybody's full of shit in their own way. And the dangerous thing about people who are quote unquote well-rated is that they can intellectualize their bullshit in ways that make it sound good. The third thing is I've stopped going back and forth with Black immigrants because they are arguing bad faith about this whole delineation, right? What I found is that they don't have a problem with delineating.
Your audio, something's going on with your audio.
You're spelling too.
You delineated from your audio.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay. I said they don't have, it's not that they have a problem with delineating, it's that they have a problem with us delineating on our terms because they do it on their terms all the time. We got a Black student union, they do an African student union or a Caribbean student union. We got Black scholarships, they got African and Caribbean scholarships. There was a Black men and a Black women's call for Kamala. Guess what they did? They had a Caribbean call for Kamala. So the real truth is, and I wonder why is so much pushback on us delineating. The truth is, dude, it's been an inside joke amongst the whole diaspora that they've been running the game on us. We the only ones that believe in that all Black. They know behind closed doors that they delineate all the time. We are late to this whole delineation party. So they've been double dipping, getting scholarships that quote unquote Black scholarships, right? Because we just say Black. They jump in, they get those. Anything for Black people, they jump in and get it. And if we delineate, the truth is, the whole diaspora worldwide to be asked out. Because they can't come to America and just hop into Blackness if we really delineate. That's where the fear comes in. That's where your boy Kofi getting into all the intellectualism, trying to just talk his way around it. When the truth is, it scares you. It scares you that you will be cut off from all the resources if we delineate.
2,
So that's what. That's all, man. I'm out, man.
Appreciate you, Quincy.
What resources is he talking about, and what? And I want to know what.
Adolph, FBA.
Hey, how you doing?
Time crunch, but I got you, Adolf. So Quincy, if you hang around, what resources? Adolf, talk to us.
Yeah, I just want to say I just got here a little bit ago, but I heard somebody say that our ancestors during slavery were called Africans. That is a lie. If you look at and I'll prove that person wrong. Look at the 1790 census, 1820 census, 1830, 40, 50 census, all the way 1900 to 2000. We were never ever called African until Jesse Jackson changed our name African American in 1989. But when you go back to slavery, we were never ever called African, but a few times here and there, like an African church or African organization. Outside of that, we were never called African. That is a lie. Number two, I don't care what John Henry Clark says. All historians, listen to that person who said it. All historians agree no more than 4% of the slaves came from Africa here. 96% went to the Caribbean, Latin America. That is a fact. Even Henry Louis Gates states only a small amount, a minute amount of Africans came through slavery here. 96% went to the Caribbean, Latin America. He wanted a professional reference. There you go. Also, all historians now agree who understand American history that it was actually the natives that were being traded as slaves.
45 seconds.
That is a fact. So we are an amalgamation of natives with elite European admixture. We're not African. That's why we don't have any African names. We don't have any African culture. I'm talking about as a whole. There's nothing African about us, bro. If anything, we're elite European. We speak the white man's name and language. We got the white man's name, Bill Bob. We wear the white man fashion, play the white man sports. Our churches after the Church of England, HBCUs after European academics. So there's nothing African about us. Peace, bro. I'm out.
Play the white man sports got me going. That's a good one.
Hey, now listen, elite European is different. Let me see how much time we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I'm gonna put 45 seconds on the clock. We'll start with you, Kofi. Just so everybody has closing remarks and we can
after show link. We gonna let y'all know. Like, stay tuned for the after show link if y'all in the background. Don't drop.
Kofi.
Yeah, so let me respond to the two last callers that were directing something at me. So he says, I'm scared because you're getting resources. This, again, another when people talk shows you how unlearned they are. We all know that up to this day, the whole world is getting resources from Africa, right? You need to stop listening to Donald Trump all the time saying Africa's a shithole country when you got all of Europe and everyone's in there, right? Africa could feed herself, right? America cannot feed herself, or Europe can't feed themselves for too long. Right. And what are the Caribbean scholarships? Right. So that's the first caller. The second caller, to say that we didn't call each other African, and he said you don't care what John. You know what? I'm gonna. My time is short. The fact that he said he doesn't care what John Henry Clark says, I'm done because I don't know who the hell he think he is, where he knows more than John Henry Clark. When we have you have Africans that were left to themselves, they had called Africa Town, right? The Geechee Gullah language, phonetically, linguistically, is linked to African languages. So the moment someone tells you that don't listen to our great grandmaster teachers, you don't need to listen to them. They're full of shit.
Got it. A Black.
Yeah, man, I kind of agree. Like, he kind of lost me with the John Henry Clark did. You know, we not called African at those times. We didn't have African names, schools, all those things because you'll get killed for speaking your African tongue. You'll get killed for identifying as that. And eventually it was bred out of us. So by intent, but your phenotype, your DNA, and a lot of the cultural traditions that were passed along through family that might not have the African name were still very African. Like, to say that nothing about us is African is crazy. Like, I really don't be getting that whole division with people not understanding, why we have European names, like why we couldn't practice anything outside of Christianity and things like that. So, yeah, y'all already know where I stand with Pan Africanism. I'm gonna wrap it up. I know the time's short.
Gotcha. Hey, fellas, yeah, the rest of y'all three, y'all know I love y'all. But time is short, so I'm gonna kind of wrap it right here. Again, we got G at the top. We have FBA Trey and Johnny. And if y'all want to hear more, understand. We might have to drop a Patreon at some point for this after show. But until then, like I said, tune in 8 p.m. Saturday or next in 2 weeks we'll be starting season 2. But outside of that, this has been Unpacked. Appreciate y'all. Peace.